And welcome to the Sidebar Cantina, the podcast where we talk about Star Wars, pop culture, friends from far places, or whatever the fuck we feel like talking about. I am Jason Roscom. With me here, trying to take a selfie at the start of the show.
Yeah, why not?
It's perfect time.
The Darth Vader to my Palpatine, Dave Martin. Hello, Dave.
Hello, Jason.
How are you?
You know, it would have been happening during the countdown. However,
You didn't think about it?
I didn't think about it till later, and then I was finger fucking my phone. So, like you do.
Yes, yes, you do.
You know what I never finished was the notes. I never finished the notes.
Oh, yeah. Too distracted.
It's fine.
Too distracted because we're not alone today.
Right.
Joining us, our good friend, the John.
The John.
Dropping in town, dropping into the studio.
Patreon supporter Sterling Asia
Yes.
is here.
Yeah.
Proper handle and everything.
Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah.
Wait, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yes.
No, you. You're welcome.
So, yeah, John was in town. We invited him to the studio, and here he is.
Yeah.
Ready to talk some, well, what are we talking about today, Dave?
We're doing the Industrial Light and Magic thing.
Yeah. Or better known as Light and Magic. But you have to use the ampersand, because if you type Light and Magic, the word and, it doesn't come up on Disney Plus, which is
Well, I mean,
stupid. But I digress.
hey, ampersand, it shortens the thing. It probably saved them money. Probably drove some coder absolutely insane because it had to be in there. So we know that how much the ampersand is used in coding, right? Right? You know. This guy knows.
Kinda. I do cybersecurity, not
It's the one
programming,
like, it's
but
the one like this, right?
is that the
No,
hashtag?
that's hashtag. No, it's not.
But yeah, we're talking about Light and Magic, episodes 3 and 4 today. Great series on Disney Plus. I highly recommend everybody out there watch these.
Yes. I'm gonna need constant reminding to not drift out of the camera.
Oh yeah. So Dave's not gone. He's just
Drifting.
he's lost some of his real estate over here for the time being.
It's fine. It's fine.
But it's worth it, you know.
It is. It's
to have John in the
We're-
studio.
Yeah, we're comfortable in that scenario.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Occupied real estate before.
we've all been in close quarters. I remember when John and I we were in where were we? The Deed, I think. And you and I were sharing a room. We were having an overnight there, and you and I were crammed into a small like dorm room.
I have no memory of that.
No? Oh, okay. Yeah. It's, one of those things that just kind of blends together. But yeah, spent a lot of time in the air with these fellas.
Yeah. So there's a lot of hours logged in this room right now.
Indeed. A lot of years, too.
Yeah. Well, in your intro, one of the things that when we first pulled up,
Oh, yeah, because this is episode 332.
yeah, Mad Dogs. So when you were going through,
Sure.
were you in the 332nd or was that already?
I think that was only for maintenance. Were you ever maintenance?
No, but
Yeah.
because we had. Yeah, that's true.
I was in the 322nd. Is that what you said?
Well, the
No.
332nd was our
At
tech school in
Keesler.
Mississippi.
So in Keesler, we were to 332nd. Or
Yeah, you're
you
good.
need more pulling? do you need more of the pullings?
My penis is
You set
I
him
was
up.
like,
I'll knock. You set him up. I'll knock him down. No, so it wasn't just avionics. It was
It was all the maintenance.
no. It was like E&E was in there.
yeah,
It was
We're telling old war stories, by
Yeah.
the way. If,
Way back in the
if,
show.
if everybody out there scratching their
Electronic-
head like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Well, we're gonna go into all kinds of fucking weird shit that nobody's gonna understand.
Yeah.
Maybe Brady you'll understand because he went through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, electronic warfare, like all those guys,
Oh, and helmet fire.
and
Pointy-
helmet fire. Yeah, because
pointy-
he was there.
Pony heads only.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the 332nd was the squadron for us.
I don't remember.
And we had it, dude, it was the full thing. Like I think in my one of the bins in my crawl space right now is still my PT gear from that.
Oh, nice.
It at least the t-shirt
Yeah.
from the Mad Dogs.
Yeah, and that's what the squadron. The squadron name was the Mad Dogs.
Right.
So it was Mad Dogs. Who?
Mad Dogs. Mad Dogs. Road dogs out.
Yeah,
Like, and that's you got the road guards would
This
go
is a
out.
tech school.
and we're
Yeah,
we're
this
going
is at
back.
Keesler.
We're going back almost 30 years, and I can still remember
Oh,
most
yeah.
of that shit
No.
like it was yesterday.
We had to march from the triangle area,
Sure.
right? And then it was you formed up, and that was the whole thing was the Mad Dog.
And years before the song "Who Let the Dogs Out" came out, we
was.
were saying "Who let the dogs out," and then we'd all start barking.
Yes,
And yeah,
yes, we did that,
yeah.
dude. When were you there? Speaking of this, you're talking about going back in the Wayback Machine. Were you there when we did we broke the record for most people in a Volkswagen Beetle?
No,
You weren't there for that?
no.
That happened.
Gonna need some context.
There's no context. That
He did.
that
He
is
just did
it.
it.
They had there was like, okay, I don't know how it started. This was like
We're talking an old school Beetle, like 70s.
Yeah, like a punch buggy.
Okay.
And for this was happening, like I was still like, it wasn't phase 1 day 1, but it was like early on when we first got there. And they were like, okay, we're going to break this Guinness World Record for the amount of people we can get into a Volkswagen Beetle.
Jesus Christ.
And dude, this was a thing. It, like all the local media was there. Like it was in the triangle area. It was like by the softball fields, and it was just fucking airmen piling into this fucking Volkswagen Beetle.
How many people did it?
I don't even remember. I bet you there's probably an article.
Say, Google it.
But that's the thing. Like this was the 90s. Like this was in 1996, 97, right? It like nobody. I tried to look up some shit that happened like around that time, and there was no like, unless it was like a huge news item, there's no record of it.
According to the Guinness Book of World Records, the record is 57 people.
We put a lot. I mean,
There's people in the trunk.
Yeah.
I think nobody in the back where the engine is. So, yeah, that's crazy.
there was nobody in the engine compartment, but I remember it was like, it was horrifying to watch because it was ridiculous. And I
Can't
think
even imagine.
I'd
hate to be the person at the fucking bottom of the pile.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
yeah, it was like up in the windows and everything. Oh, it was bonkers.
It better be the gear shift.
It was.
My back right now.
That happened while we were there, and then we had the Special Olympics where we were hosting all the
Yep.
Special Olympics.
Yep, we did that.
Why they would let a bunch of us
Insanity.
Yeah, what the fuck were they thinking?
babysit these special needs people?
Yeah.
Now, granted, the guy that we had in our room was older, but he definitely was a handful.
Yeah,
Like
I'm sure.
the dude would like, appropriately enough for me, I guess, he would like go into the shower and he would just like run the shower and stand there. Like, yeah, that's what he would do. Like, so if he was missing, it would be like, okay, we'll go find him, and he's in the shower, fully clothed, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Fully clothed.
Oh man.
Thank God. But yeah,
Point.
Wow.
yeah. And then getting those nasty fucking mattresses, and we had those mattresses
Yes.
thrown out. It's probably the
Yes,
same
same.
mattresses fucking 10
Yeah.
years later. Yeah. Yeah, these are just stories from fucking Keesler Air Force Base back in the day when that's where they trained radio operators, but they don't do that there anymore.
No, they're in Texas now, right?
Yeah. Sadly.
So anyway,
If you know, you know.
all right, before we bore everybody with our war stories, we got some business to take care of. Should we talk about Patreon first?
You can talk about Patreon.
All right. Well, we'd love to give a huge shout out to all of our current patrons. My wonderful mother-in-law, Patricia Goodstein, Don Solsky, The Orange and Fetch Show, Dragon Buddy, Sterling Ager, Helen Martin, Chantal from Pop My Culture, Ivo G, Scott and Kim from Used and Abused, Catherine Rennick, Tina Land, Frederick Martin, Wally Frogmore, Lord Helmet Fire, Carly Vickers, David Schmuck, Frank Kalevich, Nick from Sweet Studios, Kristen Roscom, Shotgun Mark, and Brady Big Lovin'. If you'd like to become a supporter, you can find us at patreon.com/the Sidebar Cantina. Thank you again to all of our listeners and supporters. You are the reason why we do this.
My penis is so smooth.
What was that?
I don't know. I like it.
Okay. It is funny. Like, it makes me laugh every time.
Well, do it live. Fuck it. Do it live.
It's so fun. I was editing the audio episode this morning, like at work. I had it going concurrently while I was doing my learning, You weren't around for my learning.
Oh, we had it in.
You had it?
in my last squadron.
Fuck me if it doesn't make me gouge my own fucking eyes out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to log like suicide prevention, ironically, and it makes me want to fucking jump off the roof of the building. And in order to log people off for this training, I have to enroll everybody, which is a fucking 4-step process, and then I have to go back and find each individual motherfucker by clicking their first initial, and then that comes up, and then I had to have the last initial, and then it comes up, and then I get to scroll through all the names of every motherfucker in the Air Force that has had this
those
training.
initials?
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
They're first and last. So if it's like DM, for example, because there's a lot of motherfucking David Martins and David Martinez's and fucking Devin Muchabutch or whatever.
Nice.
There's a ton of people, and each person you have to do this for. There's no bulk completion thing. There's none of it. None of it. So while I was doing that, and while it was taking its sweet ass time finding the people, I was doing the audio upload because why not?
Yeah.
I am a good steward of the government's time. So anyway, in the beginning of the episode we did with Brady, for the intro, I left in the fucking button smashing, and oh my God, if it's not the best thing, it's just so awesome every time I do it.
Well, we'll have to do it at some point this episode.
I'm
Do
not
it when
gonna
we're not.
I'm not going to do it
expecting
right now because
Yeah.
I have to go through and around my laptop right now, so it would, and it has to be spontaneous.
Of course, yeah.
because that's the way it's the best.
Yeah.
Should I be doing notes? Should I be doing sidebar headlines?
Yes, that's what's next.
Shout out to Caleb Culver. I'm assuming it's Caleb.
Yeah, former Patreon supporter, if I'm not mistaken, or at least he's been a follower of the show forever.
So that guy, Caleb Culver, and the Why So Sidious podcast, who gave us an awesome shout out on their latest episode. Oh yeah, cool, awesome. Check out episode 116, Darth Bane trilogy novels review. I will do that because I love that trilogy.
Great books.
Why So Sidious, a nerd podcast on your favorite audio app. Thanks, Caleb. Yeah, absolutely, dude. I still have to track down whether or not I remember going in. They were doing a thing with the Darth Bane trilogy with what's his nuts?
Drew Karpyshyn,
That guy.
the author.
Yeah, the author. They had some like, hey, you can go in, you get signed copies of it or whatever if you like pre-order. You can buy the bulk of them. I remember it came out because I talked about it on the show, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm doing this."
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah. Still nothing. So I don't know if it's kind of like similar to Kickstarter, where it's like one of those things you throw it out into the ether, and
Yeah. And then
some-
3 years later,
Yeah.
you're like, oh shit.
3 years later, it's like all of a sudden shows up on the doorstep. I'm like, oh man, that'd be great. But I can't even find like the email of that I sent to like make this thing happen. So it's like, did it really happen? Was it a fever dream? Like what? You know, is this one of those Dave moments where it's just like, did it really happen? What the fuck is happening up there? Why didn't anybody tell me my ass was so big? All right.
Distracting too.
John's been staring at it this whole time.
Really?
Something about a snake.
You have to tell me. Like, you have to tell me when.
Well,
shit
I
like
never
that.
look at that. Like, I'm always looking at my screen.
Yeah,
So,
and I don't have the YouTube feed on this screen. I just have the chat.
Yeah.
So, and I'm trying to do my best to not.
It's a very complex setup we got going on here.
Yes.
All right. So is that it for the headlines?
Yes. Check out the Why So Sidious podcast.
All right. Well, moving right into our week. As always, I have additions to.
The sacred Jedi.
All right. So this week, first off, this is my favorite one of them all. This is a Clone Trooper 2-pack, and one of them is the Ahsoka Clone Trooper. So one's a Phase 1, one's an Ahsoka one. It's
From the 332nd.
yeah, 30 Mad Dogs. Ooh.
Mad.
Don't get him started.
So
Let's just say dogs.
I know. Well, we already did that bit, so it's over now.
It's never over, Jason.
Okay. But yeah, no, I love this 2-pack. The box is damaged, but it said that in the eBay auction, so I still got it for a reasonable price. But I may just have to open this one and get a new mint box. So, but yeah, love me some Clone Troopers.
Yeah. The detail on the face is so good.
Yeah. These next two I got on super clearance on Hasbro Pulse. They've been putting a lot of shit on clearance recently, and you can get some good deals on there right now if you're into Black Series figures.
Oh boy.
The first one is, speaking of Ahsoka, it's a 2-pack of Ahsoka and one of the assassin droids from the show.
Rosario Dawson. Looking...
But again, I still say the one of her from The Mandalorian still looks so much better and so much more like her than like the ones from her show look.
That one.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah, her detail on that one is just unbelievable. That's the one
This one's pretty good though. I mean, honestly.
Oh yeah, no, nothing wrong with this one, but I still think that one is better, and that's the one that I'm going to get signed when she's in Philly next month. Yeah, hard to tell.
Jason doesn't like
go.
me.
Oh,
Doesn't like my face in this one.
is this a birth of a new character, or is this
No.
just?
Oh, God, no. I don't need more characters right now.
Yep. And one other thing that I bought, it was again on super clearance, and I'm like, fuck it, might as well. And what did you do?
What did I do?
You swapped our positions.
How did I do that?
Oh my god. Are you okay today?
I was looking at you. I didn't.
Okay. Anyway,
Did I do it?
John did it with his mind.
so I already have one of these, but I figured I'd pick up a second one because there might be something in here that Dave would want, and that is the carbonized Return of the Jedi 2-pack.
Oh,
which
fucking right.
I already have behind me, but I know Dave,
Shit.
you don't have the carbonized TIE Pilot,
I
right?
do not, and I will gladly accept said carbonized.
Yep. Because I think if you open that, they're both in there in individual packages. So
Well, I will let you do that then.
yeah. Or do you want to do it now?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we need a we need a knife, and
There you go. Take care of that.
let's just do this live. Why not?
Yeah, that's. You gotta reach around.
What did
We'll
you?
do it live.
What did you?
Do it live.
You killed my audio.
How?
What did you do? Yeah, the audio's dead.
No.
What the fuck did you do, Dave?
Is it?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, I hear him on the
Uh-oh.
others.
Did you pull the USB out? No? Sweet fucking...
Yes. Look at his face. Like, can you hear us?
It's like the fisheye.
Can you hear us, Jason?
No, we didn't mute, did we?
No, I can hear you.
I can't hear myself at all. Did you hit my...
It's all in your direction. What did you do?
I don't know what I did.
Still nothing?
No, I hear you.
We hear you.
We can hear you, Melissa.
That's the thing. I can't hear myself or you two. Jesus Christ.
No, I could totally hear you 100%.
All right, well, entertain the people while I'm troubleshooting.
Well,
37. My girlfriend
Oh.
sucked 37 dicks in a row.
All right, I heard that.
Yeah.
Am I
So,
muted?
yeah.
no, we hear you perfectly fine.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, you push that green button. Whatever that green button did, I couldn't hear anything.
Just you couldn't hear anything.
Well, yeah.
The
That's
rest
why I said
of us,
I.
The rest of us
fine.
can
We're
hear
all
fine.
good.
Could you hear? Could you hear them?
Well, don't hit that fucking green button again. Like you are. It's the John.
me.
He's thrown us off.
I'm sitting here nice and quiet.
Do it live.
The sacred Jedi.
See, that's what happens when our flow gets you know.
Anytime our flow is interrupted, this is what happens.
It's just everything just degenerates into
Oh my-
abstract chaos. Hey, Crayola, reach up there with your staff of Ra. So yeah, no, I got that 2-pack for it was super cheap. Like I
Really?
think normal price it was like 60. I think I got them for like 30, something like that.
shit.
Yeah. So good shit.
God.
So again, yeah, if you're looking for cheap Black Series figures, Hasbro Pulse right now has a ton of stuff on clearance.
That's awesome. Thank you.
And the last thing I have for my week, have either of you seen the trailer for that new M. Night Shyamalan movie, Trap?
I have not.
describe.
Yeah, so basically it's about a serial killer who, is being led into a trap, so to speak, by the feds. And it's so, M. Night Shyamalan, he's had some real misses in recent years, some like pretty bad movies. And so I heard that he was making this new movie, and I'm just like, whatever. And then I'm hearing like all this buzz after this trailer comes out. I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'll watch the trailer. As soon as I finish the trailer, I'm like, can I buy my tickets now? Like, it looks that good. So yeah, I would recommend everybody watching the trailer for that trap movie because it looks decent.
I don't do those kind of movies, so I'm gonna rely on you.
It's not a horror movie. It's more dramatic.
Yeah, I'm not a suspense guy, right? I don't need that in my life. I really don't.
All right.
I do not. I'm good. I'll let you go and enjoy that, and you can tell me about it and tell them about it, and I'll enjoy it through you.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, I would still recommend watching the trailer though because it looks fucking great. But yeah, that's it for my week. That and my Dune obsession continues. I bought Dune 2 on digital last week. I've watched it twice already, I think.
Nice.
So,
how are you doing with the book?
4 or 5 chapters. It's a slow burn. I read like right before bed.
Okay.
About a half a chapter a night.
All right.
So, it's going though.
Good.
The book's like about this thick, right?
It is. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I'm stoked that you're reading it.
Yeah. So, that's it. That's my week.
I don't. This is another one of those times where since Dave didn't have an eclipse to fucking talk about, I'm like, what did I do this week? I went to a baseball game yesterday.
Oh yeah, I saw the pictures.
Yes, yeah, my wife posted pictures of us at the baseball game. Yeah,
You say that like it's a bad thing.
No. I just social media and me just are not like we have a very this non-committal relationship where I know social media exists and I should be doing something on it, but then I don't. It's like social media is like, why don't you return my calls? I'm like, well, it's because you're kind of needy and I really don't want to fucking talk to you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whatever. So anyway, the Phillies this year have this. There's this whole thing with the City Connect. Like Major League Baseball did this alternate jersey. They call them these City Connect jerseys, and it's they're the ones for the Phillies this year are awful. They're just awful. I'll tell you that the general consensus for Phillies fans is that they suck. I can't. I'm trying to figure out the ways to how to explain how bad it is. It's like, so there's a guy. I'll rewind. Phillies have the dollar dog nights, right? Like they used to have you go to the game and it was like a Wednesday night. And you can get dollar hot dogs, right? Super popular. Well, this
I'll
year,
take 8.
Yeah, and people would do. Well, I think you can only do like 3 at a time or something. Oh, okay. But you could go back as many times as you wanted. They didn't do it this year. They cut it off, and they're doing like buy one get one, which is bullshit. It's not the same.
Yeah, inflation's a bitch.
Yeah. So, but there's a guy in a parking lot who's like, "Look, I'll do, dollar dogs, but if you show up in that City Connect jersey, you're gonna have to pay $2." Like that's the consensus. Like that, the general dislike for that fucking jersey.
Right.
So, and the way it's set up is the colors. It's these colors, okay? It's like this light blue, which kind of like fades into the dark blue that's in the Liberty Bell here. And then
show the people. I don't think
in the skyline.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So here's the coloring for those who are watching, and then the yellow.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice the skyline before.
Yeah, see?
That's nice.
And then the writing on the front it looks like
front back.
Well, so I'm describing the jersey right now, not my hat.
Okay.
The hat is just for demonstrative purposes. So if you look at the font for
It's
this,
an odd script.
it is.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why people don't like it.
Can I see it again? Yeah, it's weird.
So it looks like something that you would have done on your book cover, right? In the 90s. Like you're writing on your book cover.
Right. Yeah.
So the general consensus is the fucking jerseys are just hideous. But I saw the hats online. I'm like, that hat there might be something to that hat. So I'm like, I won't pass judgment on the hat until I see it. You know, so we went to the game yesterday, and this City Connect shit is everywhere. It's all over the fucking store in the stadium. It kind of ridiculous, to be honest, because when we were there opening weekend, we're like, okay, where's the new stuff for this year? There was like nothing. Apparently they were saving their load for fucking
My penis so smooth.
for this City Connect bullshit. So, but you go back to the hats, and they had like this in all shapes and sizes. They had these hats, and when I saw it with the fucking, it's got the Liberty Bell on the front. It's got the 2 stars. It's the color scheme is based on the flag of Pennsylvania, right? That's why they chose those colors, and you know, with the skyline in the Liberty Bell, which I thought was cool. You know, Philly is whatever, but then it has like, I don't know if the camera's going to be able to pick it up, but you can see in the brim. It actually, you know, it says. Is that upside down? Maybe. Yeah, it was upside down. In the same script, it says love.
Oh, is that what that says?
Yeah,
Okay.
but the O is the Liberty Bell. God, this is so backwards. Why am I twisting my arm like this? That doesn't make any sense.
I think they get the idea.
Yeah.
You don't have to keep holding it there.
So I'm like, the fucking the hat's actually pretty nice. So I ended up buying the hat. So this will be my, you know what, there's a hat edict at the house where if I get a hat, I have to.
I had to impose that. Absolutely.
Yeah,
on myself. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I hate it.
So there will be some hat will have to get purged. Actually, I'm a little behind on the purge. There's a couple of hats that need to go. I don't know which ones to choose. It's like going through Andy's toys. I don't know which ones to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, went to the baseball game. It was cold. Fucking Saturday was a human pitching machine, and I'm sore as shit. But it was fun. Realized
Pitching for who?
for Kathy's nephew. He wanted some extra reps, and when his coaches may or may not suck really, and he's not getting realistic fucking reps and actually getting to see a baseball. So I tried to make states and throw all the baseballs at somewhere near 65 to 70 miles an hour 200 times.
And you're sore today, huh?
I am very sore.
Oh, okay.
I'm still sore today. That was Saturday. I'm still really sore today, which I was able to do that because, you know, I was going to go help Nick up at his grandparents because he was doing that this weekend, getting rid of stuff up in Nipa. And like with John coming in town and I had a bunch of chores to do, it was just like, I can't go up there for the whole day. So I got to be a human pitching machine for like an hour. Then I went and was doing chores and shit for the rest of the weekend until the baseball game anyway. But yeah, like all last week, I couldn't even, like, it was one of those work weeks where it was such a fucking slog. Every goddamn day I was doing work, and then I was also doing an inspection. Like I was doing like an additional duty thing. And it's just like, why do I do this to myself? And I was just exhausted. I was exhausted by the end of the week. So
It's going to be on your tombstone, Dave.
why do I do this to myself?
Pretty much.
Yeah. And
Why
maybe
did I do
the answer will be 42, I guess,
Why did he
underneath.
do it to himself?
Yeah. Just put it on the back so nobody, anyway. Yeah, honestly, aside from throwing baseballs. Oh, no, that didn't read. This thing is not going to require. We killed a bee earlier, actually. It was a hornet. No, so I had an older baseball glove that I wanted to relace, right? I think, did I talk about relacing this baseball glove?
I don't think so.
So, relacing this baseball glove, it was time. This is a Mizuno glove, and it was an infielder's glove because that's what you do. Like I have an infielder's glove and I have an outfielder's glove for baseball, and then I have softball gloves, like you do. So this
Just nod.
this is a
Yes,
thing.
because we all have those in our garage somewhere.
Yes, like when you're coaching baseball and putting spending your midlife crisis thinking that I can play in this wood baseball league, and then realize you can't hit a fucking breaking ball, and then you don't do that. Anyway,
But you had all the gloves.
I did have all the no, I could, dude. I will say that when I was attempting to try and do this in this fucking the wooden bat league, I could field like a motherfucker, and I had the arm for it. This is before I started falling apart, but I could not. These kids were like these were like guys that played D1 college ball, and they were throwing 80 miles an hour, and they were throwing change-ups and curveballs, and I haven't been able to hit it off speed pitch since I was in fucking like little league. That was always my nemesis. Like, oh, the ball moved. No, fucking. So it's in fucking tryouts. I'm watching these breaking pitches. I'm like, you know what, guys, I'm not gonna be able to do this. So, anyway, I had this glove. It's an expensive glove. It's good leather, and the lacing was wore out. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna replace the lacing. I had it out. It was on my desk, and Holly got a part of it. Like, so I had all the laces taken apart. So the eye, it's like this piece of leather that's in the shape of an eye that makes the web. So she got hold of that, and she ate fucking 66% of it.
Oof.
It's delicious.
Apparently it was. It was pure fucking delicious rawhide that she went to town on.
I always
And-
did like the smell of baseball gloves. I don't know why.
A good leather baseball glove, man. It should last in perpetuity. Like if you take care of it, it's one of those things that lasts forever. But it's useless now that it doesn't have the fucking part for the web. So it was it's a sad face. And baseball gloves of that caliber now are like $300. So I'm not getting another one because I don't play baseball. It doesn't make any sense to spend $300 on that. I could be spending $300 on Lego, obviously.
Fact.
Like that, which I'd rather spend that on.
Now, is that because you're one of those devil lefties? Like
No.
the special lefty gloves.
No. So what? Ironically, because the left-handed people are the devil, I was taught to do everything right-handed.
Oh.
Right. So I golf right-handed. I played baseball right-handed. Although I could switch hit.
My penis so smooth.
I could do that because I had that same thing, and I could shoot with both hands.
I was
Right.
gonna ask what's your dominant eye?
There's no I really don't have a dominant eye. It's really weird. Like I think now that my vision's going, like I'm not sure which one. Like with my glasses, I'm not sure
You wanna
which
do
one
that?
promotes dominance.
Nah.
So put your hands up like that.
All right.
Put my face in there.
Yeah.
And now close one eye.
Okay, so this is the one that's still lined up.
You got it,
This one's
yeah.
like way off.
Yeah.
So my left eye is my dominant?
So if you
Yeah, because I lined up.
close your left eye, does anything move? If you close your right eye,
Camera one.
I'll be damned.
Camera two.
Yeah.
Camera
that
one.
tells
Camera
you
two.
which one is your straight eye and straight eye.
Straight eye. We're all going cross-eyed. Meanwhile, the people are watching. What are they
that
doing?
Was fun. That was fun.
Well, you learn something new every day.
Yeah. But most of the time I would shoot right-handed because it's such a pain in the ass. Like the ejector port on a gun that's set up for, trying to go left-handed. It's just fucking dumb. The world is set up for right-handed people. It just is. So it was way easier to learn to do shit right-handed, and just do it that way and be ambidextrous than it was to fucking be left-handed and just fucking run headlong into every obstacle in the fucking world. Except for writing. Put a pencil in my right hand and it looks like a fucking toddler's holding it. Like,
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing trying to write with my left. It's like, no, it's never going to happen.
no, I can't do that. I can't eat with my right hand. Like using a fork is weird. Like I can cut like a normal thing, but like I can't use a fork or brush my teeth with my right hand. Like I just can't. Like it's just like I'm like stabbing myself in the face.
It would take all day. Left hand, yeah.
No, so when I got my elbow, like I've had a couple of elbow procedures where I couldn't like move my left arm, and so I had to brush my teeth with my right hand, and it was a shit show. It was like, why is there blood?
Boy, if the people are watching this with the sound on mute, they're getting quite the visual right now.
Is Steve okay? He looks angry. Yeah, see if it's muted. Yeah. Anyway, that's my week. How about you, John?
Wait, whoa.
Yeah, you got anything you want to share before we get into our topic?
On the topic of
Just anything you've been up to.
throwing pitches. I was bowling some pitches, I guess.
Oh
you call
yeah.
them. Yeah, got my daughter a Nerf cricket set because they play cricket on Bluey, the cartoon Bluey. Your kids are probably too old for that.
Oh yeah.
Probably. But yeah, so she saw it. So I just blowing through Amazon, looking at different things, and it came up. It's like, well, I'm buying that, and it's a blast. It's a blast. I mean, just she's a natural at it.
So
It's so cool.
have you knocked down some wickets? Have you
Yeah. I blown it past her a few times. Like throwing it hard is like, and it's a Nerf. It's like a Nerf.
Sure, yeah.
cricket ball. But we had to switch to like a deadened tennis ball kind of a thing because she was blasting them out of the yard. Oh. So in like 2 hits, boom, boom, she was gone. So we were using tennis balls, which she's still hitting them really far.
She's natural.
Not into the asshole neighbor's yard, into the other neighbor's yard?
Both. Yeah, both. So that's been pretty fun. So you get her something like that, and she's got that personality where she's like, that's all I want to do right now, all day, every day. So we've been doing a bunch of cricket bat, which is fun.
That's awesome.
Getting the house ready. Got her birthday party coming up.
Yeah.
You're asking what ideas for presents. I think that your present should be your presents, because I need some laborers to get ready for the party. That's what we would normally do if I'm getting ready for a party.
Yeah, this
and
is
I was
true.
local, I would be like, come on up. Why don't you get there early?
Yeah.
Help me out with
Dude,
that.
I'd love to get out there.
I know.
Wonder if we have.
Yeah, it's too far.
We'll put a pin in that.
Yeah, put
Put a pin in that. Is Kathy watching?
Yeah, that you talk about your work week. Just I'll be in DC next week. Finishing up. We talked a little bit in the beginning before you went live of it's like the end of the season for the thing that I do. Don't worry about it. And so once we kind of finish off all of that, now we have after action meetings and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Make a stop at the Readiness Center at the Pentagon, and then to the National Science Foundation, because they're the bill payers for the whole shooting match, for the whole thing. Should we explain it, or should we just bypass it? Forget it.
It's up to you.
It's just too.
It's
too
fucking
much.
cool.
It is cold.
It's cold and it's cool.
Yeah.
No, you're like it's not.
So yeah.
classified.
And that's true. That is the beauty of it.
Yeah,
It's
that is
one
like-
of one of the first things. That we've been a part of, that is open source. You can talk about all of it.
Right.
It's fucking cool. We have a patch up there that fucking go fuck yourself is holding up there.
Nice. I love
Doesn't it look like he's giving the finger?
Yes.
Dude, I'm telling you,
They had to have done that.
it's a
On
good
it was deliberate.
Yeah.
It was absolutely deliberate.
So,
But yeah, talk about it.
Yeah. So
John? What do you
Bang.
do? Who
So
is
I'm-
your daddy and what does he do?
Thank you. I needed that. I was trying to fish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. There you go. So I am the Command Senior Enlisted Leader for the Joint Task Force Support Forces Antarctica,
Right.
which is a mouthful, right?
Which means a lot to us. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
To
So
the
I live in
listener.
Hawaii, and I
Yeah.
travel down to New Zealand and to Antarctica. And what we do and what my office is responsible for is all the operations and logistics support to the National Science Foundation. So any and all science that occurs on the continent down there for the United States and some of our other partner nations, we support via airlift, cargo resupply, bulk fuel resupply. Coast Guard, we organize them to go in and break open the channel so the boats can go in, so the big icebreaker goes in there and smash.
Yeah.
And all the other kind of logistical nightmares and challenges that go along with that.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, so it's a standing joint task force, which means it never stood up in the 50s and it's been going on ever since. So it's a year-round support to the Science Foundation down there at McMurdo Station.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you've been down there a couple times.
Been
huh?
down there, yeah, 2 times. So this is my first year of seeing the full, a full season's worth of support. So I got down there in October for a few weeks, and then I most recently spent about a month down there, the whole month of February, which is there's kind of like sort of like late summer, so it's not too cold. It's not too bad. October was absolutely brutal at times.
Yeah, I bet.
They're talking like 40 below. Some days 50, with the wind and all that kind of stuff, which means the airplanes can't fly.
Yeah.
They can't, they won't even leave Christchurch. They won't even attempt it until the temps come up a little bit. So it's a dry cold though. So it's not.
All right, that's
Yeah.
It's true though. It's true though. So I wouldn't say it feels it's colder here. No, because it's not. But you get a lot of humidity in the air here in the winter, and so it does make 20 degrees. A damp 20 degrees feels absolutely miserable.
especially
Right.
when the wind's blowing.
Grabs on you and just goes right through you. There, it's a desert. So Antarctica is a desert, and so there is no humidity. I mean, single digit humidity, and so that kind of cold, you don't really feel it. It doesn't grab a hold of you
Interesting.
until and if you have some skin exposed and then the wind starts blowing, or you take your gloves off and you're like, oh, I'm gonna take a picture of this penguin, and
And then instant frostbite.
you look down, and you're like, why is my hand bright red? Like, what's happening? Oh, you're actively getting frostbite, right? Like, put your gloves on, because
Hey, dummy, put your shit back on.
it can happen real quick. But it's you're outfitted properly, you cover your skin, and
Sure, yeah.
you're okay. And for old fat staff guy like me, I'm working in a building. I'm not outside on the flight line like the maintainers that are working down there on the airplanes, keeping them flying. They're I don't know if it's the Lord's work, but they're because it's damn brutal.
I can't
the things
imagine.
the things
Yeah.
that they have to do down there, because you can't manipulate a lot of those tools and a lot of those parts with gloves.
No, God, no.
You got to use your bare hands for it. So but it's pretty incredible. It's a massive joint effort from the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Active Guard, Reserve, on all services. So all different components of those services. It's pretty amazing. And we're Antarctica, the Antarctic Treaty that was established back in the 50s and ratified and through all these different revisions of it. It stipulates that the continent is to be used for peaceful purposes only, scientific, for the betterment of humanity, and all that kind of stuff. And so, what's the military doing down there?
Right.
That's always a big question. Well, we are there to support the Science Foundation because they don't have a fleet of airplanes or boats and,
Right.
and all this stuff. They don't have it. It's like a lot of the other 3-letter agencies out there. They rely on the military to support their operations because they don't have the budget at all to do that kind of stuff. $1 million to them to the National Science Foundation translates into actual, like, real science in the field. That's a grant. That's a project that can be funded and completed. I mean, what's $1 million to us? I mean, that's
and in
No, I
the
mean,
military industrial complex, it's almost nothing.
so we are just the size of the budgets. They're not even comparable at all. So they couldn't do any of this stuff on their own. So there comes an agreement between the DoD and the NSF and who will support it. The Navy was running it for a long time, and then back in the 90s, I think, it's shifted over to the Air Force. And so there's 4 of us that do it, that staff this task force full time year round. We're out there at Hawaii, a couple officers and me. So end up doing most of the work.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
That's what the enlisted
and
do.
they know it too. So if they're listening, which they're not, they know it. That's a fact. So it's been pretty cool. And like personally, what I do is I identify, source, deploy, support, and redeploy all the personnel for all on the military side. That's one of the big pieces that I own. So it's definitely a whole new language to learn. And that was, we were talking earlier, that it's, the big challenge is it's just a different way of approaching problem sets in a conventional way. That's been probably one of the biggest challenges. But we work very closely with the Science Foundation leadership, and that's pretty neat, is to see that side, a different side of government than we've ever been accustomed to.
Yeah.
So
Before it was just go get in the plane and fly.
yeah, no, this is there's a little more bureaucracy involved, which is kind of fun. We enjoy it. So it's a 4-year tour, a little more than a year into it. So I got a couple more seasons in me, and then we'll see. Maybe I'll come back to the state. Probably come back to the state. Jersey's made me an offer I can't refuse in the past. So
All right.
maybe we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what
Okay.
happens.
Well, we'll check in with you.
Yeah.
Next time you're in
absolutely.
town.
No, definitely. And I'm trying to. So when you go out on these tours too, it's I did one before down in Florida. I'm still a Jersey Guardsman. Even though I'm out at a headquarters doing a different mission. And when you're away like that doing those things, people tend to forget about you. You're like, oh, I saw some people today I hadn't seen in a year, and you're like, what are you doing here? You're still like, yeah, I'm still alive. Yes, I'm still here. So you gotta come back and just strengthen those or reinforce those relationships, so that when the time comes, you're like, all right, my orders are done. I'm your liability still.
Right.
There you go. So that's kind of a little bit of politicking involved there.
Nice. Well, if you didn't already feel inadequate about what you do in life, this seals the deal. So
Yeah. No, it's so cool. And I'll tell you that because, Kate's boyfriend, who does the work that for his doctoral candidacy, like the work that he's doing, they're doing in Antarctica, right? With the work in neutrinos, like that, those experiments, like between there and Greenland, that's the only places in the world it can be done because of the environment. You have to be in that extreme cold and in those desert environments, or cold desert environments. So yeah, it's interesting, his perspective, because he sees it from the scientist side of it.
Purely.
Like when they're looking for grants and they're looking like how do we get the money and write the papers and do all the things to make the science happen. And then hearing the logistics side of it from the other side has been really neat.
yeah.
It's just been really cool.
We're working real hard to free up that capital, if you will. You've heard the old thing is like, do more with less. Obviously, that we are really trying to do the same with less, and we figured out some fancy ways to do more, to actually bring in another airplane and spend less. It's bizarre. I won't go into the weird math behind that, but essentially just recapitalize like the assets that we have and use them in a more efficient manner, and bring more people in and still spend less money. Yeah. So that's a pretty exciting thing that we're working on.
Empire stuff.
Empire stuff.
Lots of Empire stuff.
Lots of Empire stuff.
And last thing about the scientific piece of it, one thing that I got to see down there at McMurdo Station, they have it's called the McCreary Lab. So it's where a lot of the science occurs. It's in this big fancy building, and they have the ice core like rooms where they store these ice cores. So the ice sheet in some parts of the continent is like 2 miles thick. Like you're talking 10,000 feet just of ice before, and that's before they get to the terra firma.
Holy shit.
Down there. Yeah, 2 miles thick. It's pretty.
Wow.
It's a big deal. So the whole climate change. So
Oh God, don't even start that.
but let's just say like it melted, whatever. It's a lot of damn water. That's right.
That would be a
So
lot
that's
of water.
that's some of the you start to think about it. You're like, holy moly! And the size of Antarctica, you can fit the entire like lower 48 inside of the continent footprint and still have lots more left over. So it's humongous. It's huge. But they go out with these drilling rigs and they drill these huge holes and pull out these cores of ice, and they're these massive cylinders. And then they cut them in these pieces and they store them in this lab down there, and they'll analyze these things back in Colorado. So eventually, every year when the boat comes in and drops supplies, they take these things and put them in like probably, I don't know, nitrogen or something like that, put them in a cargo container and then ship it back to Colorado where they analyze these things.
Right, because that's probably ice that's been down there for millions of years, kind of thing.
Exactly, like eons, 500 million years ago or something like that. And what they can do is they can look and look at the material that's in there and date it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then they can look up in Greenland, where they're doing a lot of other scientific work up there, and they can match that, like samples of say there was like a volcanic event somewhere in the world. They can date where it how did it reach the poles essentially, and it's just fascinating stuff that they're doing.
Like one of those Paleolithic, asteroid events that like would have sent so much shit into the atmosphere. You'd be able to
it's there and
match those core samples.
It's trapped, and they let you eat it too. By the way.
They do.
It's probably some of the cleanest water on the planet.
It's hysterical. They'll give you like pieces of this stuff, and it's well, it sounds like it's like super compressed snow,
like real
essentially.
dense,
and it's right, and so when you put it in like a glass or in water or even like pop rocks and you put it in your mouth, and that's what it pops, and it like snaps and pops because there's argon gas that's trapped in there.
Oh damn.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. We'll talk about more about that later. No, but no, it's but some of the science that they're doing down there is absolutely unbelievable. And yes, I've seen tons and tons of penguins and seals and minke whales and humpback whales and killer whales, and it's pretty unreal.
Yeah,
that's great.
I was going to mention it, and maybe I redo the YouTube link later. It's pretty cool to watch. You can go to the McMurdo station like live cam.
Yeah.
And you can actually like go and look, see what's the weather like.
Yeah.
So I
call him on the phone and be like, check out the boat that just came into the pier.
Right.
Whatever. You can look at the pier cams and see
like, oh, look at like the, and some story associated with the boat. And I'm like looking at it like, oh yeah, fuck, there it is. And then you'd be talking about some penguins, and they have a penguin cam. Like, so you can go to the other station.
Yeah.
And you can go, and it's just penguin cam, fucking just fucking walking around. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Yeah. So yeah, it's really cool living vicariously in Antarctica with John.
Yeah,
and I can go on and on and on, but I digress.
Yeah. All right. Well,
so we should probably sidebar to the real main topic.
Right. Yeah. So let's talk some light and magic.
Look, it hasn't even been an hour yet, so we're right on track right now.
That's fair. Do. But yeah, you don't need a break or anything before we get into it, do you?
No, I'll take one in the middle of it.
Okay, as we do.
Yeah.
Maybe between the episodes 3 and 4.
Sure.
Because we're starting off with episode 3, and it's called Just Think About It, which becomes relevant. And I mean, it starts off with just all these famous names just talking about their experience of seeing Star Wars and being, inspired by seeing Star Wars in theaters back in 1977.
Right. So like Spielberg, Favreau.
Yeah, Jon Favreau, J.J. Abrams, Ron Howard, James Cameron. James Cameron talked about dropping out of school as soon as he saw it, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to go make movies now.
Yeah. This is a weird thing to have remembered, like, while I was rewatching it. I'm like, oh, look, there's, like, Ron Howard without a hat. Like, doing the interviews, he has a hat on, but then it, like, does, like, pictures where he's, like, hatless.
Mm-hmm.
And tangentially, it's like, oh wait, it makes me wonder why Ron Howard wears the hat all the time. This is a sidebar, by the way.
Clearly,
if you didn't know. But it's like I watch Ron Howard and like, okay, he's wearing a hat. Why does he wear a hat all the time? Does he wear it the same reason I do? Because I don't know why. I want to wear a hat all the time. Like, I don't need to. I'm not balding. Like, I just... doing my hair would take seconds, literally, because I keep my hair so short. So why do I wear a hat? Is it a statement? Is it a statement of expression that I wear it? Like so, and then it made me think. Well, why does Ron Howard do it? So anyway, some food for thought.
Yeah.
You know, audience participation.
It is an item of like a foregone or a bygone era, right? Hats were a fashion statement for men.
Yeah.
Until when was the last president to wear a hat?
Lincoln?
No,
No,
no, it was in this century, or it was in the 20th century. Definitely.
I mean, you'd probably have to go Johnson, maybe like Lyndon Johnson, maybe Gerald Ford.
Because they would,
Yeah.
but the hat was a thing.
That
maybe
was
maybe is it because you wanted to be? I always wanted to be a cowboy. Growing up, always, and so I think that maybe always had a cowboy hat on. Did you have a?
No, I mean, I
Cowboys?
had a cowboy hat, but I didn't have the boots like Jason did.
Right. See, I had the boots and not the hat.
Right.
So.
This is perfect. That's a perfect. Union.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I like there it goes. The hat was my dad brought back from Brownsville, Texas. He was down there on a trip, and he brought me back.
A real one.
Yeah, which I don't whatever happened to that hat. Anyway, so yeah, there was famous people in the beginning of episode 3 of Light and Magic.
And yeah, they're all these big guys. Again,
Light
John.
ampersand magic.
Yeah, like John Favreau was,
Yeah.
obviously a big one because he's, now doing the Mandalorian and all that.
Yeah, when did this? Let's rewind real quick, just for the benefit of the audience, because we kind of jumped into it. When did these come out? Do we remember when this came out? Because it's been a few years it came out.
You think so? Well, I'll do it live.
37. My girlfriend sucked 37 dicks.
In a row?
It's tough when I can't see the buttons. I'm just reaching.
Mash 'em.
That's how Jason got muted earlier, allegedly.
Right.
Like, because we could hear him just fine.
Again, I couldn't hear shit. So,
Allegedly.
all right. I'm like, wait a minute. What was I doing?
You're typing allegedly. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Let's see if we have release dates on these things. Reactor. Oh, whoops.
Hi.
It doesn't show a release date, but it has to have been within the last year or two.
No, it's. I'm telling you, it's been a.
Are you sure?
I watched this
Release date 2022.
That's what I
a
thought.
couple years, so it's been on
Okay, I guess
2 years.
But still, I mean, like Favreau had already made Mandalorian, and
Right. Well, yeah. Jeez, in my brain, it doesn't like the timeline.
Mandalorian goes back to 2019.
I know it's fucking bonkers. I don't. Even looking at 2019 doesn't seem like it's that long ago, but fuck, it was 5 fucking years ago.
Yeah, well,
Like,
it's the whole COVID thing, you
Yeah,
know. COVID stole like 3 years of our lives.
COVID time travel, man. It's a real thing.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, all these famous people talking about how they saw Star Wars in theaters and just how it inspired them. And I really focused on the James Cameron one because, I mean, I'm assuming the story is true. Like him, as soon as he sees Star Wars, he's like, "Yep, I'm out." Goes and quits his job and goes to film school.
Was it Richie Cunningham? Was Ron Howard who said he's like they watched it and he immediately got back in line.
Yeah.
Oh
He
yeah,
watched it
yeah,
again.
yeah. Him and his wife or
Yeah,
girlfriend or
he
whoever
said
at
to
the time.
Shirley, like, which is like Shirley, like Laverne and Shirley. Like,
I know
which
that's what
Shirley are
I'm
we
thinking.
talking
I'm
about?
thinking, well, because
Yeah, who's Shirley?
well, because the girl who played Shirley in Laverne and Shirley was also his girlfriend in American Graffiti.
Right.
Right?
And she was also Joni, right? Wasn't that Joni?
No, different actress.
Different. Joni Love Chachi.
I know the name.
Because Joni was in. No, she wasn't. I'm getting all of my 50s sitcom characters mixed up right now.
Yeah, well, let's just move on. So
We're hung up on Ron Howard right now for
Right.
no fucking reason.
then we actually flash to the Light and Magic folks, and the guy John Dykstra, who was a major player in those first 2 episodes in making the original Star Wars.
Right.
He just wanted to keep it going, right? And that was kind of a theme with a lot of these guys because it really was just a fucking party atmosphere.
Yeah.
You watch all these behind the scenes footage of them having fucking parties and just.
Now, if I'm George Lucas and I come back, I'm like having a heart attack in England.
Yeah.
And I come back and they're partying in that teeny tiny hot tub. I'm losing my shit too.
Yeah.
You gotta be kidding me.
Are you fucking kidding me? I have 30 seconds.
Oh God, we're gonna get into like just the painstaking process of how they did some of this shit.
Yeah, there was some great sequences in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they talk about the actual process, but after Star Wars was such a success, they decided. Well, Lucas decided to move everything up north because they were in that warehouse in Van Nuys,
Right.
And he wanted to get out of there because, I mean, it's not really the greatest area anyway. I had a friend who used to live in Van Nuys, but I digress. So yeah, Lucas said, "All right, I want to move everything up to up to San Francisco," and the guy John Dykstra, he didn't want to go.
Right.
So they moved everything.
Well, and he says in the interview that he wasn't invited.
That's what I said.
Yeah,
that's what I heard.
yeah. He said he wasn't invited, and in the episode 2, him and Lucas they talked about it. Like, yeah, Dykstra got shit done, and it was really important to getting to where they needed to be for Star Wars. However, they personality wise, him and George just didn't.
Yeah, that's
didn't
true.
get it. Like, George didn't appreciate how Dykstra got to where they got to, and he was a hothead. I mean, Dykstra was a hothead. I mean, I can relate to that. Like, all right, we need to get this shit done. Oh my fucking god! It's picking up the tests and dropping it, and shit like that. Maybe.
Get your attention.
Yeah.
And I love when they got to San Francisco and they had this one section of a warehouse, and they're like, yeah, next door there was a fucking auto parts place, and next to that was something else, some other like store or whatever. And I'm just like, could you just imagine, just working in an auto place and they're making Empire Strikes Back right next door, like all of that stuff is in that room.
No, I can't
Or
imagine.
vice versa. You're making Empire Strikes Back, and in the next room, someone's going,
Yeah, exactly.
keep it down.
Hey, we're trying to film over here.
Yeah.
Ben Burt's out there with a fucking like a saw bend. I was thinking more about we're John. What was it? Mole? The guy.
I've got his name written down. I'll find it.
The fucking Photoshop guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, like him.
John Knoll.
Noel.
Yeah.
And
Knoll.
him going into the phone book while he was in town with his dad,
Yeah.
and looking it up and be like, oh look, there they are.
Yeah, like magic right there in the phone
Yeah,
book, and
calling him up and saying, hey, I'm interested in checking it out. And they're like, yeah, come on down.
Yeah.
And then you go down and you fucking walk around in there like, oh, look at how fucking cool this is.
like what a different time,
I
you
would
know?
have
Absolutely.
lost my fucking mind. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
No. There's no way. There's no way you could do that. Like you said, there's no way you could do it today.
No, definitely not.
Like, oh, you have to pass through security, and no, there's no cell phones.
Yeah, and you're not sharing a building with anybody.
No.
Yeah. But it just goes to show how different things were back then.
And they weren't letting a bunch of hippies do whatever the fuck they want either.
Yeah.
And they weren't just blowing shit up randomly. Like, oh, hey, we need to make this explosion. How are we gonna do that? Let's.
Well, just think about it, as
Yes.
the title says.
Yeah, like, no, I don't think we can do that. Well, just think about it.
Yeah.
Like, I love that idea of the leadership technique for Lucas. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I want to do this thing. Like, nah, we can't do that. I'm like, all right, well, I hear what you're saying, but think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's worth actually incorporating.
Yeah.
Into,
Yeah.
into other things.
Yeah,
you
don't
know?
yeah, just give it some time. Let it simmer. You
Right.
know, don't just like say no.
Right. Like this
And then half the time, like they found the solutions to whatever the problems were.
because it's just all I need to do is just throw this like little dime of just information in front of you, and you're like looking at it like, it's just a dime.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna take that. I might use it, and then you just keep adding to it, and it just turns into something because it's in your head. All these creative guys, that's all they needed. They just need that little idea, and they're just tangentially just going to build on it. I mean, fucking look at Tippett. Like he's diagnosing himself with bipolar, right, in this episode, but he's using that energy in his model making, and and
Right, well,
using it to great effect.
And you're talking about the guy that was like depression and everything.
Yeah.
Like he literally said, like, I kept myself this busy so I wouldn't kill myself.
right.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, that was Phil Tippett.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that because you're keeping yourself busy so that not so that the voices stop, because that sounds weird, and I have a lot of voices, but that's not why. So don't think too far into it. But no, you like, okay, I'm working on this, and if I'm problem solving with this, I'm busy and my brain's happy. And if you just give me that little idea, and initially I'm just like, that's fucking dumb. That's a dumb idea. I'm gonna keep doing this.
Mm-hmm.
But meanwhile, that thing is going like, hey, that dumb idea, how can I make that work? Because I like making things work. I like solving those problems. And then, it's not about recognition. It's not about fucking like, I'm going to make George Lucas happy. No, it's not. None of that. It was all about just like making the best possible effect.
Yeah.
Like, how can we make this look the best we can possibly make it look?
Mm-hmm.
And everything these guys did, every fucking time, it was like, okay, this is brand new. We're inventing shit. We're inventing Pixar. We're inventing,
Right.
I'm inventing this fucking camera system that's taking this picture, and then it's got 4 cameras in one thing, and it's taking all these things to overlay it so we can get rid of the matte lines. And
Yeah. Like watching them in the editing room
Yeah, that
What?
was
yeah.
it just blows my fucking mind. To like, how do you even get to that point? It's like, oh, what if we took 4 cameras? What if we took 4 layers of film and then did it? Like, what would happen?
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that problem solving. That's hands-on fucking. That's fucking men being men fucking problem solving. It's like,
right.
and we can do that shit.
Yeah.
And there was women involved too. I'm not being literal. Stop it.
Did you notice it was obvious to me, but did you pick it up that from episode 2 to 3, the George Lucas aged?
Oh yeah.
Now I know,
yeah.
I know it was like jumping around a little bit with
Yeah.
like times maybe in shots and stuff like that. But I did notice like at the end of 2 and then 3, I was like, that is a different part. Like, whoa,
Yeah.
like there was serious. You were under some stress, brother.
Oh yeah.
Like he aged significantly in
Yeah,
that little time frame. He was a young man, and then he was he was young, and then he was an older man.
Yeah.
it was big difference.
By the time you look at him,
Whoa.
even in Jedi, like you're just
Yeah.
like, okay, that is a dude who,
He's wearing it all.
yeah, he has seen some shit.
Yeah.
And he is bearing the burden of basically creating an entire genre
Yeah.
and the technology that it requires.
But again, that's all self-inflicted as well because
Sure.
he wanted it this way. He had his
Yeah.
vision and he wanted his vision.
Right. That we all hated when we fucking saw it for
Yeah.
the first time. But they talk about that in the next couple.
I did key up on that too. You're right. We'll get to that. I did. I
Yeah.
know what
yeah,
you're gonna say.
those are like, if you watch 5 and 6, when we get there, it talks more about
Yeah.
how we feel about current iterations. But
Yeah. And I do want to do 5 and 6 by the
Absolutely.
way because
Yeah.
I love the series.
hey, we've gotten this far.
Yeah. And for a while they went into just like how they were setting up in this new building, the chaos that went around it and people like wanting space and then moving hallways. And one guy talked about doing a prank where he made a model of his finger.
Yeah, that was Tippett.
Yeah, created a bloody stump and just threw it next to one of the bandsaws.
This is really dangerous. So I'm going to demonstrate it. Like, this is before you could send memes out.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, I'm just going to go ahead and mold my finger and create a bloody stump and leave it on a bandsaw.
And no, if you could just move that bandsaw, that would be great.
Right.
Yeah.
Push it. 3 inches.
I love the idea too. Like, again, this is a different time, right? But we have this space. Let's make changes. Okay, we're just going to build our own walls. They're set builders.
Yeah, and they built
Right.
a new floor on it
Yeah,
too.
there's like, oh, we're just going to do this all ourselves. There's no fucking contractors. And they're like, oh, hey, dude, can we get a permit for that? I guarantee you there was never a fucking permit pulled for the entire fucking thing. They're like, oh, well, go into that building to go sell it. It's like, this is not the right building. Like, this is not the same building.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where'd this fucking auditorium come from?
No one was electrocuted.
Right.
Like, how's that
Right.
possible?
Well, that we know of.
Well, yeah, this is like I love that idea though. It's like, hey, this is our space. We know how to do this. Let's fucking do it. And you could fucking do it.
Yeah, no, just the ingenuity of these guys,
Yeah.
these employees, and just how fucking smart they were, and everything they built and created was.
Does it make you feel like? Does it make you feel like there's no? Do you think that happens today? Do you think
No,
do
they just throw them in front of a fucking green screen and then CG it.
So my uncle Bob, he works for Crayola, and he basically he invents toys. Like that's what he does for a living. And there are, I mean, he has a lot of patents for different things that he's invented for part of toys. Like, and when he's worked for Tyco and Mattel, and like he has, it's really cool actually. Like when you get a patent, like they give you like this bronze thing, and it's neat. And like kind of talking about the process of that, you get the opportunity to kind of think about it and stuff. And he was telling me a story recently that they were at something where there was a lot of different toy people at this particular event, and it was hosted by another vendor. And they're like, okay, let's problem solve. Let's do this thing. And for him, it was him and one of his bosses, and they were like, we're not participating in that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not doing your fucking job for
right,
you.
Right. And it's like, as much as you'd love to have that group think and actually come up with something cool, it's all proprietary, right? Like, people stepping on each other. And I think, my uncle is probably, he's working. Crayola is a huge company, right? And they have a lot of different stuff that they're into. But I wonder at all levels, is there this level, this research and development, like, oh, let me go out and let me build something and test it, see if it fucking works. All the trial and error they're talking about in these shows that I don't think you can do anymore.
No,
like, right?
I get you. No, I got you.
Yeah, because I mean, one of the first things that they start talking about in this is the design of the AT-AT and how many different phases it went through.
Yeah.
From starting from like a Norwegian tank
Right.
to
Hang on, I know a guy.
yeah, exactly. I know a guy who has a fucking tank.
Can get me several.
Yeah, like, wait. Okay, I don't how, but we'll answer that later.
The stores that they were. So I went down to I don't know what the member of the store was. He's like, I went down to the Radio Shack essentially,
right,
and picked up this equipment and that equipment and did this and made that. No, I get what you're saying. Like that world, or that ability to create like that. I think it exists, but it's just different now. It's in a different place, and it's in there. Like kids are sitting in front of computers doing that. They're not doing it so like, with tact with their hands.
Physical objects.
Thank you. Yeah, they're not doing it. It exists, but it's just in a different form right now.
And this is something like it might be interesting to ask Adam Savage, because I know watching his YouTube stuff religiously, it's he identifies as a maker, and he like his process and how he goes through if he's going to build something, or if he's updating something, or if he's doing a costume for cosplay or something like that. Like he comes from the old school. Like he worked for ILM back in the days when this is how they operated. So he still has that. But how prolific is that in the film industry or anywhere else? I mean, as later on in spoiler alert, in later episodes, it kind of gets into the computer stuff a lot more. Obviously it has to, right? Because we're telling this story.
Yeah.
But and you can, some of the people that worked like in a model shop and things like that went from working in a model shop into the computer stuff. And they kind of talk about the transition into that and how creatively it was different. But I think like this kind of goes to what I was talking about last week with, seeing ships being built in Bath, and like having this I had this like visceral response to the fact that like, yeah, we're building something. Like I want seeing something actually get built is so different than looking at something that's computer generated. Like, and whether it's film or a ship being built or anything.
Well, yeah, there you go. That's where it's being done today, is in the building of weapons and vehicles.
But
and...
most of that stuff is done on the computer first anyway before it comes out.
Yeah.
But so how much R&D is really like trial and error? I mean, if it really comes down to it, it's me in my fucking shop, because when I look at something, I'm looking at it as like, all right, I could try this, and this. And when that doesn't work, I'm like, all right, fuck. All right, let me try this, and this, because I visualize the engineering. I don't do that math.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any, I'd be wasting my time if I tried to do it in CAD or something like that, because I'm just going to do it the way my fucking eye and my brain tells me to do it anyway. That's why everything I build is over engineered, because my brain's engineering function is like 15% more than it needs to be.
Yeah.
So that I know it's not going to break. But that's just how it works.
Since we already started talking about the AT-ATs, I love the whole thing, how they eventually landed on it from a fucking US Steel like brochure or whatever, where they were doing like mock-ups of the future. This is what things are going to look like in the future, and it was for a car, I think, right? Yeah, it was like this is what cars will be in the future, and it's like a walking thing, and they're like, well, no, but we'll use it for one of these Imperial vehicles.
Yeah, he talked about how they all had one. They all had one of these catalogs.
Yeah.
It was just beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautifully done.
And then you wonder if US Steel back then was like, what the fuck, man?
That I thought of that too. Like they're ripping off a lot of stuff here.
Yeah,
You
so
know, like,
it's like, there's probably some legal gray area in there.
definitely.
But
It was clearly a snow walking machine. It just didn't have guns on the front of it.
Yeah.
It was the
Right.
same damn thing.
It was,
and then they, made it more animal-like with the head and everything.
right.
But just listening to them talk about the process and how, it went from the tank to this, and, how they added little things here and there, and it was just fascinating.
yeah.
Why did they want to make it? Why did they want to make it animal-like? Like, why did they want to give it
Well,
I
I think because once they already had it on 4 legs, they're like, well, we might as well make it look like an animal. And then they designed it off of some like prehistoric.
Well, and I think they were talking about George, how George had said like he had this particular shot in mind where it was like it had this thing in the distance, and it was like slowly coming at you in this like menacing way.
Yeah.
And doing it as a tank just didn't have the same effect.
right.
Yeah.
Right? Like rolling towards you, whereas if it was like walking towards you,
It's a lot more
animals-
ominous. Yeah.
It could come at you slowly on the horizon, so you can get everybody set up.
That was another one too. Like it wasn't like a remake of that scene, but
Very similar.
kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Inspired it quite a bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
And-
hey, remember that scene? Yeah, we're gonna do that.
yeah.
And then we're gonna do it again.
Yeah.
But I mean, the final product was great, because I still kind of get chills from that scene where, they're all lined up in the fucking trench, and then you just see in the distance, you can kind of hear the footsteps.
Yes.
And before you actually see what it is.
Yeah, you see one of the few times in Star Wars where like they actually look like soldiers.
Yeah.
What is it a lawnmower? Is that what I'm hearing?
Might be a helicopter.
Or is it just a car?
Helicopter.
Yeah. We've had a lot of helicopters flying around here recently. But I digress.
Anyway, no, fuck, god damn it.
We were talking about the soldiers in the trench. You said
Oh
it was
yeah,
the first time.
diving into the fucking trenches where you see like actual. Yeah, this is like they seem like they actually know what they're doing, as opposed to stormtroopers shooting with their offhand. Like,
And then, ironically, they rip themselves off in The Last Jedi when they go to the fucking salt planet,
Yeah.
And it's they essentially stole that damn scene from Empire.
Did it again.
Yeah.
why not? It's your scene. Fuck it.
Yeah,
Go
I-
ahead, take it.
Can we talk about the matte paintings? I love them.
That
First of
was
all,
so great.
yeah, I love when they're talking to the guy and he's just like, "Oh, we went from 12 to hundreds of these things," and then they started pulling them out.
That
and,
was great.
yeah, and they did like the transitions.
And laid them on. Yeah.
Yeah.
To live shots. Yeah,
Like
that was
the,
really cool.
yeah, the one with the Falcon when it landed on Cloud City.
And it was only some of it.
Yeah. Because the rest of it was the actual people in the shot, and I'm sitting there watching it, thinking, "Yeah, I didn't realize that's actually how they made that."
Yeah, no idea. amount of realism they could put into a painting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've talked about it before with like the scene with the Emperor when he arrives on the Death Star.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like
and
that
all
one.
those troops.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a huge matte painting. But with these, like Cloud City, there's distance shots of Cloud City where he's talking about, oh, when you're painting, make it look like an aircraft carrier, and stuff like that. And it's so solid. It looks just like when with the planet exteriors and shit like that. The fact that that's a fucking painting
Incredible.
that you make look so goddamn real.
I'll do the clouds. You don't do the clouds.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great.
That was like, and the best part was how he tells Ralph McQuarrie. He feels like, man, I don't know how I tell Ralph McQuarrie
Yeah.
that his clouds suck.
Suck at clouds.
Yeah, you know what? I know you're busy. I'll do the bullshit clouds. I'll take care of that.
And
You
he
take
even
care of the hard
said,
stuff.
I don't know if he actually bought it or not, but he
Right.
let me do the
Yeah,
clouds.
exactly.
But yeah, no, that was actually great too, seeing those Ralph McQuarrie, like
Yeah.
seeing him working and everything. Because God, he died in the 90s, was it?
I don't know.
Yeah. He died quite a while ago now, but it was cool just seeing this behind the scenes stuff of him actually working and
Yeah, like put a name to the face type
Yeah.
of thing. Because honestly, I always pictured some fucking old Stan Lee looking guy.
yeah.
Whenever we talk about him, I never picture him as some fucking dude that looks like he played college football.
yeah. But other shots like the inside the Star Destroyer, Vader Star Destroyer. I didn't realize that was all a matte painting, or most of it was.
Oh, with the
Yeah, because when you're looking out the windshield and you can see Vader there, and he kind of walks up.
Like, and here's one from the side.
Yeah, yeah, because they had to do side shots and everything. I'm like, wow. I mean, it makes sense, but it never clicked to me that was part of that was a painting,
yeah, which
and that's how good they are.
They are.
yeah.
And I was thinking about it too. I was like, man, when I rewatch this, am I gonna think about it as I'm watching it? But I don't think so. There's no seams to ever see. Like, oh, I can see.
Yeah,
I don't think
No,
so.
you
I
never see
I
it.
don't think it'll ruin it.
When you watch it, what happens to me, because I'll think about it like with that throne room scene. I'll think about it for half a second, and then I'll immediately revert into like, fuck you, stripey bag. Like that shit gets into my head.
Worse.
Yeah.
it's,
Hell of a lot worse.
yeah, it's
Family Guy.
that overtakes any like
Oh yeah.
like the matte painting. You're immediately like it's not a thing. It's part of the reality.
yeah,
And honestly, it's probably CGI is a representation of that thing, right? Because blue screen, you put blue screen over those same exact things and do that with computers. That's basically what you're doing. You're simulating the image just same way, except instead of paint, you're doing it with computers.
yeah.
So I mean,
It's probably still easier. You can probably do a lot of cutting and pasting, and
oh yeah,
I don't know.
I'm not saying it's well.
I don't know.
Is it this one we start talking about the Pixar stuff, or is it that's
I
the
think
next
it's the
one,
next
right?
one. Yeah,
I found my people.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were like going into the what kills me is the stop motion. Like, you've got to be so hyper focused to be able to do that. Like, I couldn't imagine doing that job.
The Tauntaun stop motion.
Yeah.
Like, and how they made
The hair.
Oh yeah, with the
fair?
fucking maggots, and they
Yeah.
got to hide, and they put maggots in there to eat away all the. Oh god.
Every time. So John.
Oh yeah.
So John's a hunter, right?
It was.
Yeah, and so John has a handful of skulls,
Okay.
right, in his collection, of which his future wife has actually said out loud, "That's too many skulls.
It's too many skulls. Yeah. It's too
Um,
many.
It's too many." But the skulls he actually sent to the
yeah.
taxidermist, and they do the bug thing.
Yeah, this guy up in the Poconos, like I would take him to him. I had some shoulder mounts done, like the classic deer head you see on the
Yeah,
wall. Like I had,
yeah.
But then
That deer head that
there-
we've moved, fuck, a lot.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. So
I've handled that deer a lot.
There's another way to do it. They call it like a European mount, or there's other names for it. but they take just the skull with the antlers on there, and this taxidermist will cut away, peel away all the skin, and take away as much matter as he can, but he can't get all of it off. And so then they have these beetle pits. They're flesh-eating beetles.
Oh wow.
And he said maggots, sure, but there's these beetles like the Mummy, right?
Yeah.
And so opens this thing up, and he had to have a special license to have these things.
No shit.
You put these things in there and close the lid, and come back in a week or something, like some time frame passes, and these beetles will have like white as your paper is what it'll look like,
Holy shit.
down to the bone, and every last living thing is gone. So they won't eat the bone, they won't eat the antlers, but it's freaky.
Yeah.
It's freaky.
It's
Yeah.
when you look at them and you're like, I know how that got so white. Like, it's kind of
Little bugs.
Never gonna think about beetles the same way again. I tell you what.
No, it's creepy.
Yeah, but I mean, God, just the painstaking stop motion animation that would drive me insane.
well.
Like move it a millimeter, picture, millimeter, picture, millimeter, picture.
When he's coming up from the floor.
Yeah.
And he's coming over here, and he's coming over here.
And he was
Coming
saying
over
like
here,
each
he's going
shot was like 20 minutes to like, move it, get back down, take the picture.
Yeah, crawl. And then the guy, there was two of them, and then that other guy got sick or something. He got like the
Yes.
flu, so then he ended up having
Sure,
to do both
I'll
of
do
them.
both.
Yeah, sure. I got
For like an 11-second like.
yeah.
And the
when
shot
you're
was over.
Yeah.
coming through the legs and pulling out. Like that was to know how much went into that. Like for us to see that.
Mhm.
When you see the AT-AT kind of leaning off to the side, taking the shot,
Mhm.
That to know that there's a guy. First of all, that the set was as big as it was.
Yeah.
Right. The set was big enough where they could walk on it. It's a car. That's got to be a car.
That is.
Yeah.
It's
The guy across the street works on cars.
poorly apparently because that one's too loud. They were out there with the fucking their snow or their version of the snow, and they're like getting everything just perfect, and it's rigid enough. It's built 4 feet off the ground so they can fucking do the little trap doors to fucking get where they're supposed to be, and the amount of shit that went into it. So when we look at it, it looks to us like this is outside.
Yeah.
Like it's seamless.
Mhm.
It's absolutely fucking seamless, and this will never be like this again,
Yeah.
ever. Like it just won't. Like for good or for bad, it just
Yeah.
it'll never have this level of human interaction to make a movie
Yeah.
like this to that level.
Yeah. And something else that kind of dawned on me too while I'm watching this particular episode is how much more work went into Empire than New Hope. Because whenever I would think of Empire, I kind of like almost envisioned it as a smaller production, if that makes any sense. Whereas, the first one was Death Stars and space battles and all this other stuff. But no, man, they put so much more effort and time into Empire than they did New
Yeah.
Hope, like significantly more.
Yeah, and then double it went into Jedi.
Mhm.
Like the one guy was saying how Jedi was the most complex, like stop motion and everything. It was just the most complex movie ever even thought about when it came out, and you totally see it because it does this like montage of all the fucking shit that's coming and they're doing in Jedi. You're just like, holy fuck, you don't even think of it that way,
Yeah.
but it's absolutely true.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then this is when they start talking about, George really pushing the idea of digital. He wants to go digital mostly because of the editing first.
He's like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
sucks.
Yeah. Well, because you're sitting there watching him and he's taking like these 3 different streams or 4 different streams of different films and different things and trying to put them all together in different shots. And
Yeah, the amount of actual, like when you hear cutting room floor, right? They're actually cutting.
yeah, it's
They're
actual
like-
film
yeah,
reels.
Yeah.
They're cutting and then splicing that shit together, and you just like,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be fucking brutal.
Yeah.
And
I get
putting
very
the-
similar to the stop motion,
Yeah, and putting together dailies so that you can watch and see this is what this is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
It's
What were you looking at?
No, I was just reading it.
Okay.
Read it in the chat.
Okay.
You want me to make it bigger?
No.
I can make it bigger.
No.
Ladies.
My penis so smooth.
Yeah, and then this is where that Ed Catmull came in. He was one of their early computer guys.
Right.
And they were showing some like really early CG animation. This is the guy that did the hand animation.
Yeah.
Right. So
him coming into this, and when they start talking about like the early animation, do you get the impression that it went from like tadpole to fucking Homo erectus, like that?
Yeah.
Like they're looking at it as like, oh, okay, we go from this, and then suddenly you're scanned in, and then they go from the scan to like, okay, now we have this smooth image.
yeah.
Like, I feel like if that was the case, Leisure Suit Larry would have looked a lot better.
Yeah, well,
Right.
I think it took a while because first of all, computer power was just significantly weaker
Right.
back then. But this was the start of it. This was the planting of the seed, and then it took some time. They used it here and there, but then of course when the '90s came around and you had fucking T2 and all those other movies come out, then
Right.
that's when it just exploded.
I was just markedly surprised at what they could do, even in those early demonstrations.
Yeah, like even the hand modeling, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh wow, I didn't realize they could do that in 1978.
Make those polygraphs and actually like animate them in a way that's realistic. Like you're addressing and doing all this stuff. Like I couldn't imagine that they were doing that, as early as they were. And obviously, like you said, it was limited by computing power and everything else. I mean, shit, they were talking about using the Photoshop, the early editions of Photoshop on a Macintosh 2.
Right.
I mean,
Talking to his older brother, could you make this?
yeah, could you do this?
Oh yeah, that's a whole story in itself.
Yeah.
That like this guy's brother invented Photoshop. You
Right.
know, 'cause he was fucking around, at home, and he wanted to make a photo editor.
Hey, you're in school for this, right? Which again, like, I'm in grad school. Like, I don't. There's no chance in hell that anything I'm doing in grad school is going to turn into anything. Like, there's nothing. There's no way. But these guys were like, oh yeah, I came up with this. Like, oh wow, that's cool. What if you did this? Like, yeah, we could do that. And then all of a sudden, like, bam, you're fucking gajillionaires.
Yeah.
like because it's new. It's new and fucking it turns into something. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing that's that right now? What are we doing that's making something that's going to turn into the next thing?
AI,
We talked. Didn't we just have this conversation about AI? And
probably.
it's not. This isn't real AI.
Well, sidebar: did you see that the Air Force is actually using an AI pilot prototype with the F-16s? I think it was.
They just
Fantastic.
they just did a
Yeah, they just did a test like yesterday or something,
they did a
where they did an AI pilot versus a human pilot, and the AI won.
it's
Great.
yeah.
Yeah.
This has actually been in development for a few years actually. So I know I actually it was part of a paper that I wrote last year. Some of the research that they were doing. Yeah, I mean, shit. All the three of us know, like from previous experience, that if you can eliminate the pilot out of a fighter aircraft, then that you've increased the performance level of that platform by a significant order of magnitude, because you don't have any life support systems to worry about.
Yeah.
So by incorporating some sort of AI into a managed system, like, say you had a drone system managed by Satcom that had some sort of AI backup, so when it goes offline, it can do this, or it's still like it's not true sentience. It's not making
No.
it's making decisions based on this formulaic response that it's going to get.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't get that input, then it's not going to make a deliberate choice. So it's AI just need in the industry, like within human factors and within, whatever the fucking the AI people that are working on the technology. I think there's a branding issue here with what we call AI and what fucking your Alexa device is.
It has become a buzz term.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
absolutely is.
Definitely.
It's in Congress. It's in fucking the MIT program I'm trying to get into is, it's AI.
But I mean, the concept of pilotless aircraft is, we all knew that was coming. And,
Sure.
Definitely.
And I'm sure it's the future, but for now,
There's a whole nother conversation about whether or not if you have a offensive weapon system that doesn't have a human being actually there pulling the trigger and what the morality of that is.
fucking Terminator, man.
But anyways, those walkers were really neat.
So yeah, getting back to the episode, George had a comment in here which I thought was hilarious. He's like, I still don't know how to use a computer. He's like, I can barely work my cell phone. I'm
Right.
like, oh Jesus, this genius, this visionary, this guy that created all of this stuff can't use digital technology.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so that was pretty hilarious. And then they were talking about the scene where he wanted to see that overhead shot of the Tauntaun going across when Han was, I think it was Han. When he was going across, and there was that overhead shot that they had filmed over, an actual ice field. And that's when the guy's like, yeah, I don't think we can do that.
Right.
And that's when the line, just
Yep.
think about it,
Yep.
comes in. And the guy's like, okay. And then, well, oh shit. Yeah. He figured it out like within minutes after, yeah. And then that's how you get that shot, which is a great shot.
Yeah. And again, I never, until I watched this, I never thought about how that shot would have got made.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my brain, I just never, I just like, oh, there he is. He's
It was
on
just
the
an
Tauntaun.
animation to me. All
Yeah,
it
it
was an animation.
Yeah.
Running across. I never,
And I felt that
Gave
way
it a
about a
thought.
lot of the scenes that they talked about in these shows. Just, oh, that's how they did that.
Yeah.
Because, I never
never gave it a
imagined.
thought.
Yeah.
Never gave it a thought.
Like with the matte paintings. God, that was crazy. Let's see, what else do we got here? Oh, there was the Phil Tippett guy. That's the guy who was doing the stop motion to keep himself sane, which is pretty funny. Walter Cronkite came for like a visit.
What's with all the puppets? I don't understand what's going on here. You're ruining my dreams, George.
And what I loved about that too was they weren't actually working. They just went and were just like making it look like they were working.
That was an absolute perfect display of a dog and pony show.
Yes. Yep.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, literally with a pony.
Yeah. To peel back the curtain a little bit, going back to our days in the Guard, in my last squadron, I was doing cybersecurity, right? And the wing wanted to do a promotional video specifically about the cyber squadron, and I was in it. And, it was 4 of us all in line, working. And like the guy started with 1 and went down. And when it came to me, I'm sitting there typing away. There was nothing. I had Word open on my computer, and I'm just typing pussy, fuck, ass, shit, cock. Wondering if somebody's gonna
ASDMJK space.
Yeah. And so that just immediately made me think of
Yeah.
the military
Like,
days.
how many times doing the dog and pony show, hey, we're bringing somebody on board to show what we're doing here. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't possibly show them what we do here because we're not doing what we do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making it up. Oh, I don't care. Just make it up then. Who cares?
We got 4 bathrooms.
And before they closed this episode out, they were talking about how they would put little cheats in, like potatoes in the asteroid field, shoes in the space battles.
I'd heard about the shoe once before, but
Yeah.
I didn't know potatoes in a
Yeah.
yogurt cup.
Yeah, like
yogurt
a
cup.
chewed up gum.
Right.
Yeah, and it's so funny to think about that. But they just needed objects that you could just kind of see in
Right.
the distance. And they're like, fuck it, throw Throw whatever in there.
The potatoes like definitely make sense. It's organic, it's random.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
it's there. It's cool.
Yeah,
But
exactly. You get a pile of them. Which sidebar? So we're in Home Depot this weekend, like you do, like you know you're an old married couple and you're in Home Depot. This is how you get out. Yeah. And we're in the lawn and garden section, and I'm buying a fucking thing to fix a hose. Again, exciting shit. Kathy goes down the aisle and she's looking at seeds, and she's like, "Hey, look at this! It's sweet potato like seeds." And she pulls out. There's a bag with 2 sweet potatoes in it.
Yeah, because that's how you
Right.
grow sweet potatoes.
But
I've done that before.
yeah, 2 sweet potatoes in a fucking like. Oh, here, this is what we're gonna charge you for 2 sweet potatoes in this bag. There's
I
nothing
could-
special about the fucking sweet. You could go to goddamn Acme and buy a bunch of sweet potatoes, and it's the same fucking thing. The fact that they had it packaged specifically and said, "Here, sweet potato seeds. There you go." Like some schmucks, like, "Oh, look, I'm gonna grow some sweet potatoes now." Like it's just it boggled the mind and fucking what lemmings we are as consumers. That like, oh, sweet potatoes. Here you go.
I wonder if I can eat these. I don't know.
So, they finished up with Empire, and then to close it out, they're like, well, we wanted to keep working. We wanted to keep the team together, keep going. And then they showed what they were working on after that. Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Yeah.
Star Trek 2, Dragon Slayer. I remember that being a very boring movie. I haven't seen it in 40 years, but E.T., obviously, Poltergeist. I didn't think about Poltergeist, but yeah, there were a lot of neat effects in that, which we'll get into next episode.
Right.
So yeah, and they described them. They were all like golden eggs for these guys because think about it. Raiders launched a fucking franchise. Star Trek 2 saved the Star Trek franchise. Poltergeist had like 5 sequels. So
Yeah. Like you said, we're going to talk about Poltergeist more in the next episode,
Yeah.
and honestly, they talk about how George sold Spielberg Raiders,
yeah, because he wanted to do a Bond movie.
right? And George was like, "I got a Bond for you.
Yeah.
I got a Bond for you that might
better
work
one.
out."
Yeah,
And I think it worked out.
definitely.
Yeah.
Is it killing you? They haven't mentioned John Williams yet.
Oh, that's
Because
true.
all these movies that you're rattling off here, John Williams.
Oh, yeah,
John
yeah.
Williams,
Oh, it's definitely in the back of my head,
like,
but
why?
I've watched all these already, so I know. I know. It's okay. Like, I watched these when they first came out because, reasons.
What year was it?
2022. Hey, I'm gonna pee.
All right.
now.
So we're gonna take a
right now.
we're gonna take a break before we get into the final episode.
And before I pee all over.
Yeah,
the
and
place.
be back right after this word
The sacred Jedi.
from our sponsors.
Didn't you have a? On top of that box was Java.
Oh yeah, well
there's that?
there's one up there, and then there's this one that I'm gonna open.
Oh, okay, that was an opener.
Yeah,
Man, I remember when I was a little kid, my cousin they lived next the house next door, and he was a few years older, and so like he was ahead of me in toys and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember he had that whole
yeah, the original
setup.
Java.
Yeah,
Yeah,
original Java and the whole setup. And I think I inherited the Java from him, just the Java. You know,
Oh,
we
okay.
turn the head.
Yeah, and his tail would wag.
Wag around. I used to, it was always like in my Lego bin, and it would, I'd use it to knock shit over and stuff like that. I wonder whatever happened to that. But yeah, he exposed me to a lot of those kinds of, a lot of Star Wars toys as a kid.
yeah. When I wanted to go off on another sidebar, but I'm like, we're getting short on time as it is. But when we were talking about, you were talking about your daughter, like hitting
Yeah.
balls over the fence. That just like brought me back to being like, an 8-year-old kid, and the frisbee or the soccer ball or the football going into a neighbor's yard and having to do the walk of shame over,
Yeah.
knock on the door, can I get my ball out of your backyard?
Oh,
I
yeah.
did that so many times.
Well, and my place in Hawaii, there's like, it's a tight neighborhood, like real tight, and so there's like stone walls that we have, and this one's 8 feet here, and it goes along the side, and so if it goes over the one side, it's like
It's gone.
we gotta go. Yeah, we gotta go way over and around the back of the thing, and so we just wait now. And magically, we'll be outside a couple days later, and you see one just go. "Ew."
That actually would happen to me as a kid too. We'd like throw something over the fence. Neighbors were gone or something.
Yeah.
We'd come outside the next day and it was back in our backyard.
Yeah. So and that's what the one lady said. She's like, "Yeah, if I see it, I'll chuck it over. Don't worry about it."
Yeah. And then every once in a while you get your Sandlot situation where there's a big mean dog in their backyard and
Oh man, we had an angry old man that his name was Charlie, and he would, if a ball went in his yard, he would come out and he would take it.
Oh my god.
Right? And any ball, tennis balls, kick balls, whatever. So finally one day it happens and we're out of balls. We can't play anymore. So I go and I say something to my dad, and he had just got home from work. And it was like a Saturday too. He was yes.
so I'm sure that's the first thing that he wanted to deal with.
So he's like, all right. So he decides he's going to go over and talk to Charlie. He goes in, knocks on the door, and he's like, "Hey, the kids, got a ball in your yard. They want it back." And he was like, "No." And he was like belligerent about it. And my dad's like, "Okay, we could do this two ways." And he's in uniform, gun, the whole shooting match. And he's like, "We could do this two ways. You could either give my kids, give the neighborhood kids their ball back, or you can go to jail for stealing their stuff." Like, that can happen right now. I'll wait. So
Got the cuffs out.
Charlie goes somewhere in his house and pulls out this fucking rain barrel filled with all the balls that he's collected over the fucking summer, dude. And that was it. We never had an issue with the fucking balls again.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but
Just takes a pistol.
Can you
turned
kill
it
the
off.
Oh, okay,
I
good,
turned it
good.
off, yeah.
Yeah,
gotta
it's getting hot in here.
You got to show me your saber you constructed, or is it the house?
It's at the house.
Yeah.
Mine is at the house.
Yeah.
His is
Those are all mine against the wall there. I put him there in case you wanted to play with him at all.
I keep looking at him.
like,
Man, I want to touch that.
You're,
touch
you're
it.
more than welcome. That's why I moved him over there. All right, we ready?
Yeah.
Is that the one on the right you made? It was like a more of a High Republic type.
Yeah, with the gold,
With the gold.
silver kind of handle. Yeah.
Because I was listening to that podcast when you talked about that one.
Yeah.
I didn't, but I couldn't see it.
Yeah, I do like that aesthetic though.
Yeah.
That kind of.
High Republic.
Yeah, yeah.
Aesthetic. All right.
All right. And we're back. So, moving on to episode 4, I think I found my people. And it starts off with that Spielberg Bond story, right? Where he wanted to do a James Bond movie. George convinced him to do Raiders of the Lost Ark. There was a young Kathleen Kennedy in there, she looked exactly the same
Right?
as she does now.
Like, you knew exactly. You knew. Oh, like, that's Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, there she is again. There she is in that picture too. Like, what are you doing there? What is your job?
Right. She's a producer, which
Right. That means you're gonna sit in the room when all this stuff happens. Like, are you making decisions that are improving this franchise? Like, what are you doing?
I always envision, I have no clue what producers actually do on movies, but I envision like they handled like the finances and logistics. That's kind of what I assume, but who the hell knows?
Oh,
And then they go right into the face melting scene from Raiders, which I thought was awesome. Like, because I had no idea how they did that.
right.
Yeah, absolutely terrifying. As a little kid.
Right.
When did that come out? Raiders? Was it? what year?
Was it 80?
So,
I think it was
yeah,
80.
so-
Yeah.
80 or 81.
I would have seen it, in 8 years later.
Yeah.
So it was terrifying.
Yeah, but I loved how it was a one-time thing, right? They
Yeah.
built this fucking wax statue.
81.
And they melted it in real time, but they did it in like 1 frame per second kind of thing to kind of speed up the process. But in the movie, it looks great. Just the, but
Gross.
yeah. They talked about E.T. and the dilemma they had with the bikes, like the bikes taking off. So we're like really going all over the place now with some of the other stuff, the non-Star Wars stuff that they were doing. Poltergeist, there was a long talk about Poltergeist and some of the effects they did for that.
Implosion.
That
The
implosion was
implosion.
insane how they had to do that.
Shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got 2 shotguns ready to go to finish the implosion. Could you just imagine being on set and 2 guys right there just ready to blast it as soon as it like starts bunching up?
Like, all right. So what'd you do today? Well,
Amazing.
I was pointing a shotgun at a dollhouse today.
Yeah, that we imploded. It's like, what the fuck? Because again, that just shows how much of the Wild West it was back in the day.
Just and thinking of the idea of it, right? It's like, okay, how do we do this? Well, we're going to tie all this cabling, and we're going to have the cabling attached this way, and we're going to pull it through a centralized thing so that it like just wow,
Just brilliant. Yeah.
Just the one where he said too, they took the balsa wood and like boiled it and then
Yeah.
compressed it so it would
So
snap.
yeah, so it was
Yeah.
more brittle. Yeah.
Real amazing.
just amazing shit.
And it all started with just in the script, the house implodes, right? And then they're all like, "Fuck, how are we gonna do this?"
Yeah.
That's a $600,000 word.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But no, the way they did that was unbelievable. And I guarantee you, they had no armorers on the set or anything like they do
Oh,
now.
no.
Whenever there's guns involved.
Nah, hey, fucking step on down to Kmart and grab us some fucking
Well, I think
buckshot.
the guy said they were his shotguns, right?
Yeah.
And they just brought them in and just all right, ready. Oh, that.
It was an old Navy man.
Yeah. But, they were talking about how, they saw it in the script and they're like, there's no way we can do that. And it makes you wonder, like back in the day, how many scripts had like crazy sequences that the effects people were just like, we can't do that. And they had to change the script for it,
Oh, apparently not when George was around.
Right,
George,
right.
George was like, yeah,
No, you'll think about it.
just think about it.
Yeah. I even wrote in my notes, shotguns, LOL.
Yeah. Why don't you have a seat?
Yeah.
Have a seat. Think about it.
Then they also went into the big esophagus, when they're like trying to be sucked into it. And
And then Spielberg was like, I want to try that.
yeah. Yeah, they've got a keyboard essentially
Right.
that they're playing to make the thing pulsate and just ugh.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Like how did we get there? Ah.
Yeah. They went into Star Trek 2, and this is when we start getting into some of the CGI stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I love Wrath of Khan. Like I've seen
Yeah,
that movie
that's a good one.
a dozen times, and I remember that scene that they're talking about when they're watching the demo of Genesis, and it's that surface of the planet
Yeah.
changing,
Yes.
and
And
it was
They said that this was the best opportunity to incorporate this into a movie because it doesn't have to look real. It can be just computer generated, like the polymorphic image.
Simulation.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this is a perfect example of how we can do this.
yeah, and
Computer, explain Project Genesis.
like
Class, like prime Captain Kirk.
Computer.
It's like
Oh, yeah.
perfect.
And I think they mentioned that was one of the first full scenes using computer technology. So and again, it was ILM, of course. Then we start getting into Return of the Jedi. I love when they first get into it and they're doing the puppets for the band. And it's Rick James, bitch. They actually did the animation to Super Freak with the puppets in those early tests, which I'm like laughing the whole time as I'm watching this. I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, it's like, all right, Phil Tippett again. He's a fucking genius, bipolar genius, and he's in the fucking
Get in the suit.
He's in the suit, like
Yeah.
and his wife comes in and he's like, oh, who's in the suit? It's like, oh, Phil's in there. And she's like, nah, no, he's not. No, he's not.
He can't do that.
He can't do that.
Yeah. So it was hilarious watching them play to Super Freak.
And
I
listen,
laughed so hard at
if
that.
if you watch this, this is one of those moments where Phil Tippett goes like, you put on the crown of a king, and then you become the king type thing. This is, when you put on the costume,
Shakespeare, I think.
yeah. You play the part, and this is kind of tongue in cheek. This is the Hennifer. This is like stuff like that, because you get into that mode, and it's like, okay, yeah, when you're controlling the puppet.
Don't worry about it.
When you're controlling the puppet, it's like, okay,
Yeah, he's like grooving,
yeah, you're not yourself. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do, because it's not necessarily you doing it.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing it, through a proxy, I guess. So
Yeah.
it doesn't make you crazy. That doesn't make you crazy. There's other things.
They didn't talk about it. They didn't talk about it much, but they showed them working on the models for Death Star 2. And I'm just like, I'm like drooling. Just I just want to touch it.
Impressive.
And they're
Yeah.
standing on it.
Yeah.
Like, when the dude's walking on it, I'm like, it's like, I just, in my brain, I'm like, everything would be so delicate, like you wouldn't be able to walk on it.
Right,
And old
right.
homeboy's got his fucking Pumas walking all over the goddamn thing. I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
Wow,
that was for the interior shot, right? The inside.
No, he was walking across the outside of it. Like, I forget what they were doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see him. He's like walking across the outside of it, and it's just like, holy shit! Like, that it could be that strong, and have those elements to it.
Yeah.
Like, not the little bits and bobs where there were like the, the scaffolding and shit. Like, because you saw that kind of on the ends. But this was like in the main structure.
Okay.
Like, he was like walking across the middle of it. I'm like, God damn it. That's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, but just looking at those models, I'm just like, I want that. I want to have it. But they look fantastic.
I'm sure we could build it if we really wanted to. I mean, it's nothing's impossible.
I mean, I don't have that kind of talent. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're
Yeah.
that's
Just think about it, right? Just think about it.
You could do it.
yeah, you could do it. You could do it. Just,
There was a real quick story about how like a couple of marriages happened from people who knew each other within the thing.
Right.
So they're still like putting in bits and pieces of the whole family atmosphere.
Right.
That was at ILM. And yeah, this one guy introduced somebody else to the lady he'd eventually marry.
right. Well, because the one guy, there was another guy who left. He was the guy who did the Poltergeist thing, right? He ended up leaving.
Yeah.
I think that was in the beginning of this episode, right?
Right. Yeah. Cause he was like burned out, I think.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to start my own thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, and so he goes off and he starts his own company, basically, to do this stuff, because he was basically tired of the monotony of it. Which, I mean, he obviously was talented. He's doing these amazing fucking things. And most of those people, it seemed like when they left ILM, like, they landed on their feet for the most part. I mean,
Well, of course, you've got a hell of a resume at that point.
well, yeah,
Springboard.
Yeah.
true.
It's like I worked on Star Wars. Hired.
Yeah. Like, oh, that little movie? Okay, fine.
There was a great sequence where they talked about how the Rancor came to be.
Oh man.
Yeah. What was it?
I had my hand.
Yeah.
Up his ass.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Well, even before they went with the puppet, like they were doing other. What was the thing that they were? Oh, they were trying to put a guy in a costume.
Yeah, they had him in a suit.
Yeah.
And he's like breaking shit and his arms are flying around.
Yeah, it's like just
So great.
looked terrible, but
great.
just to think that was the idea at first was,
Yeah.
we'll put a guy in a costume and it'll.
I think that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
It
Would've
would have
been
been
pretty cool.
like have a miniaturized like stuffed Porkins fucking doll, or like just fucking fighting it.
Yeah, but I love seeing the evolution of that and how that came to be.
Put Will Ferrell in that suit.
Yes.
Like after he gets, you got a dart in your neck. You're crazy.
They went into how they did the speeder scene. The mock-up was pretty cool.
Yeah, using the fucking 3 3/4 inch fucking like Boba Fett's and Princess Leia's and shit, and putting them on, and then having like motorcycle sounds as they're fucking like,
Vroom.
like pichoo, pichoo, like making the noises like we would make.
The concept drawings were god awful, though. I remember I was looking at it, I was like, thank goodness.
Yeah.
It was horrible looking.
Oh, I mean, I think
What
a
it
lot of
developed
them,
into
they
was-
weren't artists. They were
True,
just
true,
like,
true, true.
let's get this on. Like, what's it look like? Kind of like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, is that a tree? All right. Well, we're going between that tree.
Right.
Yeah, and then walking through the forest with the camera.
Oh yeah, when they actually
you
filmed
know,
it. Yeah.
that was
Yeah, it could, because I mean, let's face it. I think we talked about this when we talked about Jedi. It's one of those moments as they're going through the forest. It's so visceral. Like when you're watching it in the theater, it's like holy shit! It has this huge impact. Like
Yeah.
the sound effect when they're like, I can't help but think of. Anytime I even see a motorcycle, sometimes I think about that. Like, or when we were mountain biking, you know, it's just like as the trees are blowing by you and you're thinking about that sound, like it immediately takes you back to that scene. And the fact that this is how it came together is like, okay, we're gonna put fucking Star Wars action figures on fucking or on mock-ups of speeders, and it's fucking great.
Yeah. But that was the genesis of that scene,
Yeah.
and the final product was great.
walking to get and hand walking the camera.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That was really cool too. Because he's like, "Can you back up a little bit?" Or can
Yeah,
you,
it's
like,
like-
got to come over.
We need, let's get them a little closer together.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
When they were showing some of the final shots, like I didn't realize when you got the stormtrooper on the speeder in the foreground and then Leia in the background, I didn't realize that was like a doll.
That was stop motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
I didn't either.
Nope.
So
That,
No
that
idea.
was a big surprise.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it was again.
They were so fucking good.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like the immersion is so good, never even dawns on you.
Yeah. And because it's still a real thing too, and this is where like CGI, when
good
you have
point.
the CGI conversation, like you can kind of tell that when it is CGI, they don't have CGI to the point where you're like completely convinced.
Yeah. No, because your human eye will search out imperfection or
Yeah.
something that's unnatural.
It
You'll
just-
you'll identify it right away.
Yeah, something just seems off.
Yeah.
Now, the caveat to that is like with the Mandalorian, when they're having with the projection all around, like because they're doing it in the round and the camera's following and they're doing all those things, they still have practical effects within their immediate circle.
Yes. Yeah.
But the distance projection, it doesn't. You're not losing anything. It's not a blue screen because it's actually panning around with the camera, and we get into that in later episodes and how that came about. But it's still for something like that where you have the speeder bike like in superimposing that. If it wasn't a real thing, then we probably would have known right away.
Yep.
Agreed.
They mentioned how the one guy that quit, how he left because it was starting to feel more corporate at that point. Because when you're dealing with couple $100 million movies, obviously the studios want to,
Right.
they want to get involved and
Well, and he said that Jedi wasn't fun. Is
Yeah.
what he had said.
when you compare it to the other two, because you see these like all these backstage footage of these guys working, but they're also having fun and it's a good atmosphere, and then it was like completely opposite with Jedi.
Yeah, and there was a good comment made too, and I don't remember where it was within this episode, but there was a comment that they made. The morale of the troops, for lack of a better term, was hit because George was putting stuff on the cutting room floor that like, hey, we spent a lot of time making that,
Yeah.
and like we're watching it get cut, and it just is like, ugh.
A little demoralizing.
Yeah, it was like, damn, spent so much time making that work and making that happen for it to just get thrown away. And it was. You can see how it'd be demoralizing.
Yeah.
Well, some of them knew him though, like how to get an idea past George.
Right.
Like the one I think was it the guy that made the Tauntaun. What was his name?
Tippett. Phil
Tippett
Tippett.
I think he said something to the effect of like, "Hey, if I know that if I make this into a model and
Right.
put it in front of him, not something two-dimensional, but a three-dimensional
Yep.
object in front of him, more than likely he's gonna say, all right, maybe this that, but it's gonna go."
Yeah, when he made the maquette of
Yeah,
the Tauntaun, it was like, okay, this is what he needs. He
Yeah.
needs to have this thing in front of him, and you know, this 3-dimensional object, and he's gonna, you know, be a lot more likely to go with it because you gave it. You're like, oh, hey, here's, oh, you wanted something, there it is, right
Yep.
here.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, wow, shit, that's almost exactly what I wanted. Cool. And it seems like it was like that. Like Phil Tippett was really good at hearing George talk about something, seeing the storyboards and stuff like that, and translating that vision into something in the creature shop that immediately satisfied what he was looking for. And that's where that relationship was, where he was able to interpret George's cosmic fucking, you know, whatever. Because I mean, George was a man of few words, right? Even when he was talking in that one scene about like the thing, you know, something that he wanted to see improved or whatever. And you're just like, I don't know what you're saying, George. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
Yeah.
But Tippett knew.
Yep. Then they move on from Jedi. They go through another collage of stuff that ILM worked on after Jedi. Goonies, Back to the Future, Roger Rabbit, Cocoon, Temple of Doom. And it's just like, oh man, just fucking hit after hit, you know?
Yeah. And this is, you start to really appreciate, I know when the first time I watched this, I was like, man, I didn't realize how much shit ILM was really involved in until I watched these this little docuseries.
Yeah.
And I took for granted that ILM was involved in these things. You know, you know, Star Wars obviously knew that they were involved in Raiders, but some of the other ones, I had no fucking clue that they were involved in it.
Yeah.
Hunt for October, I had
Oh,
no
yeah.
fucking idea.
Yep.
No way.
Yeah,
I missed that.
Yeah, they showed one cutscene of it's underwater and it firing one of the torpedoes.
Of course.
Yeah,
Naturally. Yeah.
Yeah. They go into the story about that Joe Johnston guy, the guy that wanted to quit, but Lucas didn't want him to.
Send him to
Like-
school.
Yeah.
hey, I want to go see the world and, you know, do fun stuff. Or how about this? Or you can go to film school and I'm buying.
Yeah.
Like, you can go to film school. You can still work here for
Yeah. They still paid him.
at half salary.
half salary.
Like, wait a minute, what? Like, hang on. I feel like there's something wrong. No. Trust me, half salary, and you go to school for free. It sounds good, right? George should have been a military recruiter.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Like, you're gonna get to go to college. And you know how much money you're making right now? You're not gonna make that much. Maybe half of that, but don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. Like, eventually, you'll
all worth it.
You'll get back to it, and you'll go to college
Yeah.
eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah. Well,
maybe.
yeah. And then they talked about, you know, the stuff he made after all of this. You know, he went on to direct Honey, I Shrunk the Kids,
Yeah.
Jumanji, the first Captain America.
Man, fucking
Yeah. His little portfolio was impressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
man, I haven't seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in a long time.
Still good.
That was one of those
Still
movies
good.
that we had on VHS, and I saw it
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's still good.
I remember going to Hollywood Studios when they had the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, the movie thing, the
Yeah.
3D. No, it wasn't 3D. It was
No,
just.
so in Disney World they had.
Oh yeah, it was Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, right?
No,
Oh,
this was
never mind.
they had a whole outdoor thing.
Oh,
Like with Honey, I Shrunk
The
the
back,
Kids.
and it was on the backlot tour.
Yeah.
Right? I rode that bee. There was like a scene.
Yeah.
And they did and they had I got picked out of the audience to ride the damn thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so they had something different at Disneyland, because
Yeah.
at Disneyland they replaced Captain EO, which was the Michael Jackson 3D movie, with Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, and Rick Moranis was part of it, and it was all this thing, and it was another 3D movie that they did.
They might have had that too, but I think
that was at Epcot, Neo. I think.
Oh, okay.
yeah, because they had on the backlot they had more. I mean, that's the one advantage Disney World had, right? They had more space, so having like this open area to be able to put they had these huge huge towering pieces of grass and shit.
Yeah.
Like, so you felt like you were kind of walking around in the yard. Yeah, I remember that being fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And yeah, I don't think I've seen the movie in quite a while,
It's
but
been
you
a
said
long
it still
time.
holds up.
Yes, it's good. It's still good.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to find that. I wonder if it's streaming anywhere.
Kids are a little whiny, but their kids are always. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah,
anyway,
kids are
that's-
fucking whiny.
but
Yeah.
but
That's
no,
just how
it's
kids are.
it's still good. Yeah,
Oh, awesome. I wonder if that's on Disney Plus.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I sent the guy to
You
college.
have the power.
Yes.
Then this is when the John Knoll guy comes in, right? The he's another
Yeah.
computer scientist, I believe, and he's the guy who like called them and is just like, "Hey, can I?"
15
Come
year-
over?
15 years old. He's like, "Hey, can I check you guys out?"
Yeah. Speaking of Disneyland, he was in Anaheim at the time with his dad, like looking at Disneyland outside of his fucking hotel room window, and then yeah, starts flipping through the book. Oh, that would have been great. And then this is when he said, "You know, I found my people." As he's touring ILM and he's seeing all of this, and he's like, "This is what I want to do." And you know, fast forward a couple of years, and what?
What am I looking up?
Honey.
Oh,
I-
okay.
Oh, if it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where the title of this episode came in, the I found my people. Then we get into the Pixar stuff.
Yep.
So I think there was a little revisionist history in this because the story that I always heard
It didn't sound the same to me too.
Right.
Now that you say, okay, good.
was because Lucas went into bankruptcy
Right.
because he finished Star Wars and then he's like, I'm doing Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck's going to be the next big thing.
That's the story I always heard.
Yeah, he sunk a lot of money into Howard the Duck, which I love that movie, by the way. It failed, obviously, and yeah, he was like, you know, he got taken to the cleaners after that, and he needed to make some money, and that's where the sell of
Yeah.
Pixar came. Because in this, they make it sound like, oh, I was done with that stuff, so we'll sell it to Steve Jobs.
Well, the guy, the one nerd, he made it seem like that they were willing to separate, and George was accommodating that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll let you guys go. And then they left, and Steve Jobs gave him
All the money.
Yeah.
gave him a bunch of money. And
Well, and you know, it worked out well.
Yeah.
But then, you know,
it gave us some fucking Pixar becoming its own thing. Gave us some fucking phenomenal movies.
yeah. But it literally started in ILM, the
Yeah, he was
Pixar computer.
really shit talking it too. It's like they just want to show you like some like cartoon movie. Or something like that.
Right.
Like, he said it a couple times.
Yeah.
Like, right, we get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and then
Coming
you-
from the guy who eventually creates the Clone Wars animated show, right?
yeah, and also the guy who fucking like basically turned Phantom Menace into a cartoon episode,
Yeah.
or would have if he had had more CGI, mm-hmm. faster, more intense, more CGI.
Yep. But yeah, no, I think they fudged some facts a little bit when it came to the whole Pixar sale.
Perspective, right? It's just
Right.
it's from it's being told from a different perspective,
Okay, from a certain point
from
of
a
view.
certain point of view.
We got a very brief bit with Ben Burt, the sound guy.
We hear more from him later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was talking about making the Chewbacca noise.
He's like, there's all kinds of noises in this.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I could do this one noise, but there's a whole fucking bunch of this. Like, I can get him some job security here.
I'll do them all.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, knock yourself out.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. Like a guy like that who's now like legendary, you know, as part of this. And sidebar, great interview Adam Savage does with Ben Burt, where he talks about because they're like closing down one of the studios that a bunch of the ILM people were working at, and so there's this long interview with Ben Burt, and he's kind of talking about like how the process was. You know, it's like a 50 minute long interview. Really, really good. I recommend it for as a follow up to stuff like this because it's in depth with the individuals that we're talking to in snippets here. Like Savage actually, it's Ben Burt and there's a couple of the other people that work in ILM that he's does interviews with, like recently, like in October of 23. So
Yeah, it'd be something to look up.
they're actually really good.
Yeah. So yeah, they go through all this stuff with the Pixar thing and how George was pushing the digital technology again, and they were like selling these Pixar computers for $100,000 each.
It didn't look. It looked like, what is this? This.
Looked like a mini fridge.
Yeah, like, is that what it really was? Like, was that the whole thing?
I guess.
I
Some of it does blow my mind though. It's like how box make go.
Yeah.
how does that make that?
Right. Well, apparently it wasn't that lucrative because, I never heard any stories about anybody buying the Pixar box and then making some fantastic movie. So
I don't either. It did. It looked like, you know what it looked like? If you had bought, like, in the 80s, if you had bought like a fake bank, like a bank safe.
Oh yeah.
Like, so it was like this like cheap sheet metal bank safe.
Oh, yeah.
Had a little dial on the front. That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
it looked like.
Yeah, I could see that. Then we get into John Knoll's brother. He calls up his brother. He's like, "Hey, I got this issue with some digital stuff." And he's like, "Oh, I just, in my basement, I made this photo editing tool, which eventually became Photoshop." It's
Yeah.
like, wow, it's
How,
interesting.
how this shit gets birthed from, you're at ILM, you're working on this other shit, and then this thing happens, and then all of a sudden you have one of the best photo editing software things ever developed. That gives access for everyone to be able to manipulate pictures.
I almost wonder, because, Adobe bought Photoshop. I almost wonder if they're like, "Yeah, we'll give you like $2 million for this." And he was like, "Fuck yeah." And now they're making like hundreds of millions off of it.
I think by the time Adobe bought it, it was pretty big.
Okay.
It was already pretty big.
3 million.
Right.
And a donut.
Yeah. And then we get into a lot of the stuff with George, kind of like saying how the digital folks were kind of at odds with the practical folks. The two divisions never talked to each other. There
Right.
were rivalries.
Yeah, as you can imagine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, because one is, you're looking at one going like they're trying to
Check
take my
out Joe.
jobs.
Yeah. And then kind of, I'm skimming over some stuff, but it ends with James Cameron again, who started the episode 3 talking about being inspired by Star Wars. And, it seems like they're kind of previewing the next episode because they're showing scenes from The Abyss and from T2. So now we're getting into like the late 90s or late 80s, early 90s
Right.
kind of stuff, which I'm assuming is leading into the 5th episode.
Yeah. 5th episode gets a lot more into like what really cool conversations about what Cameron and ILM were talking about, and how like the stuff in The Abyss came about, and what was possible and what wasn't. 34.5 million in 1995.
Is how much he sold it for?
Yep, that's how much.
In 95? That's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, for Thomas and John Knoll, they made 34.5 million.
All right. Hopefully they didn't squander it.
Yeah, I mean, who knows where they are now?
Cocaine hookers.
That's right. Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
And, again, directed by Lawrence Kasdan, the guy who wrote, Empire, Force Awakens. I think he wrote part of Jedi. But, he's directing these episodes. And, it's great because they tell good stories, and that's what makes a documentary good is, telling a story along the way.
Yeah.
And I think he does a fantastic job with this. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, I highly recommend everybody, if you're a Star Wars fan, you should be watching these.
Oh, definitely.
Shit, yeah.
I mean, unless you don't want to know how the stuff's made and you want to keep the mystery.
If you're like, I don't know. I don't want to know how the sausage is made. I just want to eat sausage.
My penis is so smooth.
But you guys got any other comments on anything from these 2 episodes? I know I skipped some stuff, but
Like,
And
what did you
silence.
skip? What did you skip? I don't know.
well, I mean, if you want to talk about some of the stuff I skipped,
34,500,000.
you know, the whole Steve Jobs coming in, buying Pixar, George making the world's first digital editor. You know, that's when he talks about.
That's actually a fairly big deal, like that digital editing, because I think we don't. I never had any idea how important that was until again, jerking off Adam Savage here, but the Savage did an interview with one of the ILM guys when they were closing that one building, and they showed like, oh, this is the room where that was. Like when he first built it, this is the room where that was, and I kind of talked about how important like it really was to the industry, like outside of what they talk about in this docuseries, the actual impact to the employees and how big it was to be able to manipulate film this way and how much time it saved, like, and how taking that from that and into the dailies and how much it changed everything. And he was the first, like the fact that he did this, and then that changed how everyone did it. Like, and did he make money off of that? I mean, off of what did he call it? They called it something. It was
The edit droid?
Yeah, the edit droid.
Yeah.
You know, did George make money patenting the edit droid, or is this just...
That's a good question. Yeah, you got to wonder if they patented the shit out of all the stuff they were inventing. I would hope so. But yeah, great episodes. I'm loving this series. It's really cool to see you know, how all of this started, and
It's like 68 million in today money.
we're still on the Photoshop.
I had to close the loop on that. So yes,
Okay. It's a lot of money.
it was. The loop is now closed.
Okay.
The window is closed.
I don't know if that's good California money though.
Oh, that's true.
That's another like thing. Could you do this today? Like, could something like this happen today? And I don't know. I don't think it could happen in California.
No.
In California?
Hell no. They couldn't afford it.
Yeah, yeah.
Couldn't afford to live there. Couldn't afford to do any of these things.
And of course, again, filmmaking is so corporate
No
now
way.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I don't think you're ever going to get anything like this again, unfortunately. Like some of the minutia you might still get, because I know, like with Andor, the guy that's running that series still pushes practical effects. But I mean, you're not going to have some, you know, random asshole who's like, I want to make this space opera, and you know, I'm going to hire some people and get some funding. And
Well, they still do a lot of stuff in London, right? The studios out there, like for a lot of the practical effects, I'm pretty sure they still do a lot of that in London.
yeah,
So I don't in the States though, like in California, I would agree. I don't know that you're doing this today where you're going like, oh, I want to take the stuff out of my garage and go move up to San Francisco.
yeah.
Like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Not unless you're going to be homeless with a lot of other people.
It would be, yeah, it would be tough. Like the massive amounts of like of advancement that occurred in such a short time.
yeah.
But
It's like
But that's
so compressed.
But
now.
this is an analog of, I think,
There you go. Yeah, it's a good word.
how time is throughout the like technology in general. Like, look at where we are now, and I was kind of alluding to it before. Like, where are we making those huge advancements? You know, today.
Yeah.
Where, you know, if we are doing that, like, maybe we're not seeing it.
Yeah.
But I mean, in those days, like in the 60s and 70s, we were able to see those changes, and you know, we could go to the movies and see, holy shit, look at what this is, and you can get wowed, you know, as the average fucking American or average human, even, to go and be like, holy shit, this is an entire new world.
Right.
Our world and our perception is like the needle's not moving a whole lot. Like we've hit this plateau.
Well, even so, like more than that, like I don't know how much you two pay attention to like movie news, but Marvel, you know, they've been getting a lot of shit recently for bad CGI in their movies. You know, Marvel, this fucking multi-billion-dollar industry just in and of itself, you know, churning out these movies that were great, and then, you know, they plateaued.
Definitely.
And have even taken a dip where their special effects are, getting criticized. They look shittier than, special effects from 10 years ago kind of thing. So, maybe we're due for some new
I don't
push
know.
in technology.
And that's the thing. Like we're talking about computing power,
Quantum
like
computing. I was when you're saying that just keeps going into my head.
yeah, like,
That's the event horizon.
Yeah.
increase in computing power, and
AI.
I mean AI could be part of it because you're probably going to delegate a lot of programming and processing to and for lack of a better term, an AMI.
Yeah.
And you're going to like your higher order of operations is going to be handled potentially by a human and a creator that's going to spin up an AMI and let that AMI work on something. And then maybe you get bigger and better things. But I think right now, as a fucking species, we're too involved with, whether this person should have a dick or not. And then trying to advance fucking civilization.
We don't want to get John in trouble. So, but,
I can still laugh.
You all can laugh. It's fine.
fuck, I was going to say something about that. God damn it. I lost it, Dave. Talking about dicks. What were we saying right before that?
My penis so smooth.
God damn it. I had a good point to make. And Microsoft. Now, I don't know how true this is. Like, they could just be bullshitting, but they just said like 2 or 3 days ago that they had made a deep fake AI program that was so good that they couldn't release it. They're like, this would cause problems if we actually release this to the public.
I was thinking about that too when you said the Tom Cruise deepfakes.
Yeah. I mean, the deepfakes are getting good.
You don't even need an actor anymore.
Right.
You don't need the people anymore.
Like, look what they did with Mark Hamill in The Mandalorian when they brought him back. They deepfaked him. They even did his voice using AI. So,
but all right. So while we have a quorum with somebody that's besides you and me talking at each other, will you be entertained by it not being human? Like, at what point?
Yeah, of course.
I think there's an element at some point. If you take the human out of it, I think I start to lose. Like, as the empathy that I
You
lack
sound
for
like my father.
yeah.
I hate to say it. No, you do a little bit because that was my
old man screams at cloud.
You know, Jack.
Yeah,
Jack.
I do.
I was not allowed to watch cartoons at my father's house. As a kid.
really?
No, didn't like them. Didn't want them on the TV. I could watch, strangely enough, Gumby. He was okay with that as a little kid.
Claymation.
That was a thing, but a cartoon, and it was it's terrible. Go watch cartoons from the early '80s or
Oh yeah.
It hurts your head to listen to the dialogue. It's just terrible. But
Yeah.
but maybe that's it too, because it was like, that's not worth my time. It wasn't something real.
But I think it's
And
not.
so he had no use for it whatsoever.
But I think for me, maybe it's because of grad school and I'm trying to use AI to a benefit for human factors. Like, what I'm trying to do is incorporate AI into a safety function in an aircraft, right? So that's kind of what my thesis is going to be geared towards. And that means I'm learning a lot about it. And in the end of the day, as I get older and get closer to Jack, I'm going to, if I go to a show, I appreciate the fact that these humans are out there putting themselves out there to entertain us, right? If they write a show,
He said anus.
My penis so smooth.
If I'm watching a cartoon, I know that if a human wrote that cartoon, this kind of comes back to the strike, right? As we were going through the strike, and the Writers Guild and everyone else are like, hey, we want to make sure that we can still fucking participate in the entertainment industry and not be written off by fucking AI because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
I
South Park did this.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
did they really?
Yeah. Anyway.
I just
But I mean, we're talking about like what's the next evolution. I think currently that's probably the next thing that's coming to movies.
I don't want. I don't like the AI written, like right now the way the technology is, like it's not it's very clunky.
Oh,
It's good, but it still has its thing, and I'm not.
Well, I'll give you a great analogy. Do you remember that movie, The Lawnmower Man?
And I remember it
From
ish.
I think it was like the late 80s or early 90s.
I remember it existing. I don't
And
know if I
you know,
watched
it was touted because a lot of it was this virtual reality computer animated stuff. And it was the crudest shit, but it was all like CG. Like we're talking late 80s. Like these long CG sequences that looks like shit by today's standards, but that was the start of it, right? You know, we haven't even scratched the surface of the AI shit yet. Like it's in its very infancy.
You're talking about huge difference here. Like there's a huge difference between AI and virtual reality.
Well, I'm not talking about the concept of virtual reality. I'm more talking about the CG animation, right? How it looked like shit back in the day. It was like these big polygons. It looked like crap.
Right.
But eventually it, became what it is that we watch today in all this new Star Wars stuff.
But even like if you put there's a human actor voicing that person that could look extremely real.
Sure.
It's just like watching animation.
Yeah.
Right? There's still a human writer and a human actor.
Right.
And I'm right now as I sit here, I'm still cool with that. But as soon as you take that human actor out of it that's doing the voice, or take the writer out of it,
Sure.
that's when I start to go, I'm now the machines are entertaining me as opposed to
This is Tron you're talking about.
Oh,
by the
yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the Tron ride at Disney World, fucking awesome.
I missed it by like a couple of weeks, I
I wish I
think. Light
Kathy's
Cycle,
not a-
Racer. Oh, it's so cool.
Kathy's not a ride person, so I like Guardians I didn't do.
Yeah, I went by myself. Kristen didn't want to do it.
Yeah. I didn't get to do Tron. Yeah. Yeah, we should go.
That'd be the best.
Yeah, we should
But
totally
I would
do it.
totally do that.
Yeah, so
We
would
pick
I.
a date.
Yeah. Yes.
We plan it out.
Yes.
I hope Kristen's not listening.
You know, right? Wait for it. Wait for it.
Kristen has entered the chat.
But not necessarily. I'm not talking about AI replacing like actors and writers. I'm more like effects. Like when are we going to get to a point where an AI algorithm can make better fucking digital effects than these guys punching away at a computer?
Yeah, there'll be a time where you can say, "Hey, Chat GPT, show me an X-wing flying by an planet with a thing."
And they
it'll
already
go-
kind of
it'll
have
go-
stuff
it'll
like
go
that right
Disney.
now.
They already
yeah.
do.
And
Yeah.
it'll just do it.
Yeah, and just imagine how good it's going to be
Yeah.
in 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Gooder.
Gooder, yes.
It probably will be.
Yeah.
It probably will be.
But all right, we're over time. So do we have any reads?
Yeah, I have the usual reads.
All right.
And I think
Speed read.
Yeah.
speed read.
Yeah.
Okay, that's our guest has requested the speed read. So
Can you do the Micro Machines
Can you
guy?
do it?
all right, so let me just look at the entirety of
It's
the
a heck
thing.
of a lot.
Yeah, let's do it. Hang on. I can't believe Kristen hasn't jumped into the thing yet.
Yeah, she must not be listening. She must have fallen off during the during one of our sidebars.
Okay, or she just didn't care that much.
Either way, yeah.
All right, ready? ATSW Family Happenings on Wednesday. Snooch, Big Love, and Dragon Buddy will be reminiscing of the 1999 flick. Why these words?
Immediately went off the rails.
Yeah.
Immediately. The 1999 flick Fight Club, in which they are breaking the first rule. Yes, Dave, you read this last week, but they postponed the show.
Oh.
Catch these rebels at the ATSW Escape Pod Live, 1905, 705 Eastern on YouTube. This coming Saturday, Dondell, Snooch, and Luna Girl will break down Stranger Things Has Happened 4, Chapter 4, Dear Billy. Yes, Dave, you read this last week as well, but this was also postponed. Join them on their first watch journey at Stranger Things Has Happened, 1900, 7 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. Last night, Use and Abuse reviewed the Gran Turismo movie, and this morning, Scott and Kim recapped the Chinese Grand Prix in Talladega. Check out the replays on Use and Abuse on YouTube. Layman Stearns is back in the original YouTube channel. Wait, really? What happened? Like he
Yeah, he made a new channel and abandoned it already.
So, be sure to catch his latest on I Opened My First Packs of Larcana, released this past Friday. on one of his YouTube channels. I don't understand what's happening. The Orange and Fetch Show released an imitation game Laura Owens last Friday. Catch them on Spotify and Apple. Big Swede is keeping busy in his studio working on several upcoming releases. Follow Swede Studios on Instagram and Facebook for updates and sub you on YouTube. No news from Frogmore Arts. You can find us at bio.links/the Sidebar Cantina, where you'll find our links to Patreon, YouTube, our audio podcast on Apple, Audible, and Spotify, and on all social media platforms, including X, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, and TikTok, and Discord. Once you get to the bio link, simply click the symbols under our pick and go to your platform of choice. You can also find our past Spotify mixtape playlists. Also in our bio link is our TeePublic merch shop. Choose from 7 designs on everything: t-shirts, hoodies, tote bags, phone cases, exclusive sticker and pin, wall art, magnets, laptop computers. No. How about laptop cases and pillows? Just about anything you can imagine. Nothing says loving like a naked Jason Tick on a pillow.
Oh, I should have brought the pillow in to show John.
You should have. Go to bio.link/the Sidebar Cantina and click merch. Reviews.
No new reviews.
No new reviews. Please write us a 5-star review on Apple or Audible. Don't have an Apple
I
or
just said
Audible
that. I
account.
didn't actually look.
Our Facebook page is a review feature too. Just screenshot your review before you hit done and DM us a pic on Instagram or Twitter with your name and address so Luna Girl can send you a super cool ATSW family swag pack. This is your chance to tell us your thoughts on the show. Jason or Jennifer Lopez or Hank or Edith or Mama or Drunk Tom Brokaw or somebody fun will read your review word for word on our next episode. Tell us. Let us know what you want. Let us know who you want to read it. Finally, if you catch us on Spotify, help us out. Click those stars. If you're listening to us on audio, please consider joining us in the live chat on Mondays. The chat is most definitely where it's at. If you're new to Sidebar, please subscribe, ding that bell, select all to receive notification when we go live. Remember to smash that like button. It really helps us out.
All right.
That's it.
So next week, we're doing the music of 1998.
98.
98.
That's where the button used to be for that.
Yeah, John, thanks for
Thanks for having me in.
There it is.
This is great. It's been, what do we say? You can probably narrow in on the year.
okay.
Oh, because the couch was here and the TV.
Yeah.
And that's been a while.
It's been because I made the extension.
I think it was 2017 because that was the year I moved back up.
Wow, it's been that long?
Yeah,
Wow.
7 years,
Yeah.
right?
I don't
Ish.
think
Yeah.
it's been that long, has it?
Yeah.
Huh.
7 years.
Time.
Somebody in the chat.
flies.
So anyway, that's right. Let's do it again in 7 years.
Yes. Or next time you're in
Or
town.
next time I'm in town.
Yeah.
No, it was a pleasure.
All right.
Yeah.
As
Absolutely.
usual, I'll try to have my week ready. You always surprise me with that. I know you're going to do it, and I even thought about it. I was like, they're going to ask me what I did this week. I better think of something.
Well, I mean, the advantage is now you had a job that you could actually talk about this time.
Yeah,
so it's
that's
like
right.
okay, yeah,
That's right.
and it's fucking cool. We got our deep freeze representation.
That's right.
Up there with go fuck yourself.
We got a Hennifer down in Christchurch.
Yes, we do.
Oh, you put a sticker down there?
Yeah,
We did.
Nice.
Yeah, he sent me a picture of that. And
trying to find a good spot down on the continent.
yeah,
I didn't find one yet.
yeah. Well, I expect that next time.
Stickers are like currency down there. Fun fact.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. So it's like people will bring piles of just all kinds of random stickers, and they trade them for all kinds of stuff. Like, I got some cool stickers. You want to see my stickers?
I think I've
I
got
don't know,
stacks
do I?
of them here. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll take a couple more to use bring down for currency.
Yeah.
We'll make sure
Oh,
that
yeah.
you head back out with lots of stickers.
Indeed.
Because I like the idea of, even if it's like it doesn't have to be permanent. Although the ones I put in Hawaii definitely are permanent. I'd put them up with other stickers and took the picture.
Yeah.
But like the ones I put in Black Spire,
Yeah.
that obviously not.
I kind of figured.
Yeah, that was like, okay, this is on here temporarily, and then I
Oh,
ripped it
yeah.
off
You
because
know they're going to scratch that off.
Yeah, I didn't want to ruin the aesthetic. Honestly, I'm not there to deface it, but it was fun to take the one picture.
Not to we're not talking about this because you already talked about this. But seriously, how about that Rise of the Resistance ride?
Dude,
Oh
We'll
my
keep
God.
it like super short here, but I know I can.
Yeah.
But unbelievable.
Dude, the fact is, we were talking about it today at work because a dude just got back. One dude got back from vacation, he just went, and then another dude, his kid just got back from his spring trip, and he had went.
Like-
And it's
Yeah, when you go into that freaking hangar and you see all those stormtroopers, and then you're going through and you see the walkers, and
Yeah, when you're seeing that full size fucking tie, that first order tie, and you're like, fucking hell, and you're like kind of getting pushed through, and everything is so like the aesthetic is fucking perfect.
It's just, I only got to go through it once, and it was like it was enough. It was the lines gargantuan.
Yeah,
and it's almost not even a ride; it's an experience.
Yeah.
Because it's a multi-phase experience that you're going through.
And even my daughter, 5, almost 6 now, was just absolutely like captivated through the whole thing, because we play Star Wars Legos like constantly.
Nice.
And then all kinds of the video game, and as well as stuff. So she knows what some of it is.
Yeah.
And for a kid, by the way, going through Black Spire, did I tell you about going on the scavenger hunt for the creatures?
yeah,
So you can go up to there's like little creatures here and there and all the different shops and stuff. You can get a like a scavenger hunt booklet and a little pencil, and they'll give it to you, and then you can go around and find them all over the place, and you got to check them off, and you got to find the footprints here, and you got to find the thing.
Will they give it to adults?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was a blast. She had absolutely loved it.
and the app, like when you go into the app, like when you're in line for Rise, there is an app. Like inside the app, it's specifically for the ride for while you're in line, because the lines are are long.
Yeah.
And they give you like, okay, here's your mission while you're in line. And as you're progressing through, it's like, okay, do you see this? Have you seen that? And you're like interacting with this like, chat bot basically that's giving you like, hey, if you chose light side or dark side, it's giving you like, okay, you need to be looking for this because the rebels have put this stuff here. Like, and there's some real asshole fucking chat talking back to you. But as you're going through, it's like, okay, scan this piece if you see it, like, and so you have to kind of find that piece, and you can scan it, and it gives you like, it knows what section you're in.
Oh,
so
damn.
that it knows that like, okay, all right, while you're in this section, take a picture of this. The problem with that is it drains your phone, right? Yeah, it just sucks the battery life out of your phone. So I at one point I was just like, all right, I would rather have the battery life on my phone than to complete this mission. So, and I had not snaked my way all the way through the thing yet. So
Just one of those like little things that about that area, it's so very immersive. Like you wouldn't even know about this. There's another thing for you to do. You can't possibly do it all.
No.
There's just so much little detail here.
And that's what they're good at. They're good at the attention to detail. And
Oh yeah, like walking through from Frontierland. I think it was in Disneyland, and then into that area, like going through the tunnel. It's like the ground is like dirt and mud, but hardened, and there's horse hoof prints and wagon tracks, and the walls, there's like the lights on the side are like old lanterns, and then as you're walking through the tunnel changes, and now it's droid tracks and other types of wild alien footprints, and the lights change, and it as you go through. I mean, it's just that I don't know, that transition was
and then like
made an impact.
And then you'd be standing in a random spot and you hear like animal noises and shit. Like
yeah.
or the droids would come to life and start talking, or
well, you can do that. You can
activate them. Yeah,
you can activate the droid. I did that.
And
I
the actors too. The Ahsoka actor that Triss that came out was amazing.
Yeah,
just amazing, especially the kids. Like got down next to the kids at like eye level with them, and just she must talk to my daughter for 10 minutes.
Wow.
And then did it to another kid, and just asked them a question. It was
you heard.
I can't believe you got to do the hotel.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that. That's I hope they do something with that.
I'm grateful for that, because that was a hell of an
Golly,
experience.
That just it was really cool listening to you talk about that.
Yeah.
Really cool. Anyway, I know you gotta stop talking.
Yeah, no, we are going to stop, but thank you everybody for watching. Music in 98 next week. Go watch Light and Magic. And until next time, Dave and John, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you. Yeah. Okay, now what do I click? That's what
Speaking of Mickey. All right, I'm going to end the live stream now so Dave and I can chat with our friend in private. But thank you guys. We love you.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next week.